Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, said it best, quote, "We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution." Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Wednesday. Good morning. Thank you very much. There is Kate Smith and God Bless America. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, our corporate sponsor. We appreciate your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and, of course, our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call Kelly and the crew at 734-6969. And now, without further ado, here's the quarterback of the team, long pass downfield, Gina Ketchett. Good morning.
Good morning, Sunshine, and how are you today on this Wednesday?
I am great. We are one bird less.
Did you finally get one?
One of them. Yep.
Just one.
She has gone into the happy hunting ground of birdies.
Oh, so she crossed the Rainbow Bridge, and now she's among birdie heaven.
Yeah, she's over talking to the Wizard of Oz.
So only one nest now to deal with, right?
Well, one more bird of what was causing the problem. And I'm going to win. I did a little bit of an Irish dance out there this morning.
You did a little Irish jig. Well, good.
Yeah, and boy, with a bad knee and a bad sciatic nerve and on crutches, and Deanna just watered the lawn, it was tough to stay afoot.
I wish I could have been there to see that.
Oh, it was ugly. It was ugly. Hey, do we have a pledger?
Well, it can either be you, me, or Michael.
No, you add a lot to the program, so you go right ahead. I like the way you do it. Go ahead.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We thank you much, and right now it's time for the weather with MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you by Save On Shells. Now, I went by there again yesterday, and I'm telling you what, they have got a huge selection of Save On Shells for your pickups. Protect what's in the bed of your pickup. Protect your groceries. Protect your saddles and tack and fishing equipment. By golly, stop at 1835 Overland in Burley, Save On Shells. I'll tell you more in just a moment. Here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Good morning. It's going to be easy, sunny, 77. Going to see 80s all the way till Tuesday of next week, and that's when the next chance you'll see a chance of rain. Otherwise, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, MichaelRogersWeather.com. And, of course, you can call Anthony at 312-1525. Remember that number, 312-1525. Save On Shells. Located right there on Overland, 1835 Overland. They've got the new ARE camper shells, all the different models. They've got a fantastic selection of used shells. I'm telling you what, I am high on this business because you can protect what's in the bed of your pickup with a Save On Shell. I know a lot about them because I bought one from Save On Shells. You should too. 1835 Overland and Burley, Save On Shells. Let's have this good word for Governor Butch Otter.
Out here, we live by a simple code. We stay true to our family, our friends, our community, true to our values. Governor Butch Otter has been true to us, true to Idaho's conservative values.
I'm Governor Butch Otter. I know that sticking to Idaho's values gets results. That's why so many things that I've set out to do have been accomplished. I kept my promise to provide tax relief to the people of Idaho. It was long overdue, and I've shown that we can run the state on a balanced budget.
Butch cut our taxes by $150 million, helping individuals and families. Butch is fighting to take control of Idaho's water quality standards from the EPA. And even though critics said it couldn't be done, Governor Otter balanced our budget without raising taxes. There's no doubt about Governor Otter's conservative values and who he serves. He serves us.
There's still a lot of work to be done. I need your vote on May 20th, and I'll keep working hard and staying true to our Idaho values.
Paid for by Otter for Idaho, Cordocha, Brown Treasurer.
Thank you very much. And by the way, don't forget, mark this on your calendar, that next week on Thursday, the 22nd of May, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant for our Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Oh, everybody says they love it. 611 Overland in Burley. Yes, sir, Reed Thomas and the rest of the crew, Terry, everybody just opens the doors and says, come on in, come on in. Great food, fantastic service. We really appreciate them. And they've got the best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and senior special menu and AARP discounts. My goodness sakes, stop into Denny's Restaurant. 611 Overland in Burley. And next Thursday is Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant. Don't miss it. I'm not going to pull any punches. I think what happened with the federal judge making a so-called decree in striking down Idaho's gay marriage ban was sick and perverted. I'll say the words again, sick and perverted, and I hope the appeal goes through and that we win. Now, I have right here the news release that just came to me this morning from Governor Otter's office reacting to the court ruling on Idaho's same-sex marriage ban, and I will read it, and I stand behind Governor Otter on what he said. Governor C.L. Butch Otter issued the following statement yesterday in reaction to U.S. Magistrate Candy Dale's ruling that the Idaho Constitution same-sex marriage prohibition is unconstitutional. Quote, in 2006, the people of Idaho exercised their fundamental right, reaffirming that marriage is the union of a man and a woman. Today's decision, while disappointing, is a small setback in a long-term battle that will end at the U.S. Supreme Court. And this is Governor Otter stating, I am firmly committed to upholding the will of the people and defending our Constitution. And for that, I say I salute the governor for standing up for what is right. And gay marriage is wrong. And I certainly hope we can change this pervertedness and put it back to where it should be, marriage only between a man and a woman. The judge made some frivolously stupid comments that fundamentally just irritated me, and I'll tell you about those in just a moment. And I want your calls. I want your calls on this. The one thing that upsets me on this program is, and I know that some people will take this as ego-centered. That's fine. That's your problem, not mine. But you've got a right to speak out. You've got a right to voice your opinion. And don't just leave me hanging on the clothesline. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I absolutely want to hear your thoughts. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll take a break, and then I'll come back and take some of your calls on this federal judge's, I think, absolutely stupid decision. Don't forget Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert, your local home and ranch store, absolutely, with Steve and Mandy, the whole crew. And I want to stress to you that fair time is right around the corner, and Valley White has all your 4-H needs, all the equipment, they've got all the feed, they've got everything. And by the way, too, Valley White is your local spring headquarters for all your lawn and garden needs. They got the fertilizer, the tools, the equipment, the clothing, everything, and all the chickens too, and everything you need for your chickens. It's all there at Valley White Home and Ranch. You be sure and give them a call or stop in, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Okay. Gina, I just got a call, and it just came into Deanne. Are you right by your microphone?
Yeah.
Okay, you're not going to believe this, but they waited till 0 hour, 14 minutes away, and Senator Mike Crapo was going to be calling in at 8:30.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have nothing else to do.
Also, George called in, and he wanted to know, did you break a headlight this morning?
Break a headlight? No, I didn't break a headlight. Why?
With the birds.
No, but I'll tell you what, I know some people that are aviary lovers are going to just absolutely be distraught. That was one bird I was so glad to see her demise. She caused me a lot of trouble and cost me a lot of money.
No damage to the vehicle, right? No damage, no little bullet holes or shotgun pellets anywhere?
Well, not really. Nothing that cosmetically can't be fixed.
Okay.
All right. We'll let it go at that.
Okay.
All right. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Don't forget 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And believe me, they've got all your lights. All you have to do is just get on in there. They've got incandescent light bulbs. They've got the outside lighting. They got the lamps. They got the CFL bulbs. You will not be in the dark anymore. All you have to do is just go to Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric for all your electrical needs, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Absolutely the best of people. You know, we've got a lot of people that are running for office, and the primaries are on May 20th, and one of those folks is Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff. Want your vote on May 20th for the position of Minidoka County Sheriff. And this man is going to have a candidate get-together, and that's going to be tomorrow night, Thursday, from 7 to 9 at the Paul City Office Fire Station in Paul. So he'd like to have you come by, shake hands, and he'll tell you all about how he wants to enforce the law based on respect for individual rights and a commitment to the safety of each citizen, and maintain high ethical and performance standards for himself and the entire staff. Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff. Vote on May 20th. Paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. Okay. Give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Well, the reason I'm so upset about this with the gay marriage acceptance in our state of Idaho is I just think it's not befitting a great conservative state like ours. And I think this Judge Candy Dale, and if I get a chance, I'm going to denigrate her as much as I can for her frivolous and stupid decision. Now listen to what she said, and I'm quoting from a newspaper article that I read this morning. Dale calls the state's argument, she's talking about Idaho's argument about religious liberty with marriage being banned for gays, myopic. Now, of course, myopic means not seeing clearly or short-sighted. Wait a minute. The Bible is very clear. And as a Christian, I am highly offended when she says religious people are myopic. That's basically the general scent of what she's trying to say. Well, I want to be myopic then. I want to believe in the Bible and what it says because I am a Christian. And for this judge to denigrate people of religion and believe that marriage is between a man and a woman, plain and simple, simply put, period, for this judge to call us myopic and short-sighted, that makes me very upset. And you realize who caused this trouble for the state of Idaho? Four same-sex couples. In other words, 8 people. 8 people have created this firestorm. And I hope it's overturned on an appeal. I hope that absolutely we get back to sensibility, reason, and moral values. What are your thoughts, audience? I mean, this is your state. This is where you live. Do you want to see a condemnation of marriage, the sanctity of marriage between a man and a woman, thrown down the drain with a stupid, frivolous federal magistrate judge by the name of Candy Dale saying that the rest of us that believe in the Bible and are religious are myopic? That really offends me. What about you? We don't speak up. They run over us like a stampede of cattle. I, for one, am going to fight back. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll have your calls. Please show the intestinal fortitude to speak out. We'll have this good word from Mike Simpson. We'll be right back.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho. Because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much. And right now also, don't forget that Berry Equipment and Rental has all the Coyote tractors. Believe me, they've got a bunch at all three locations, Jerome, Twin Falls, and Burley. And along with that, the Doosan loaders and excavators and the Bobcats. I'm telling you what, whether you're buying or renting, they've got the equipment you need. And they're also, again, I want to stress this, they're looking for some really good mechanics. Don't sit there and cry the blues about not finding a job. They've got a job. They've got jobs, plural, at Berry Equipment and Rental. If you're a good qualified mechanic, they want to talk to you. Competitive pay, good benefits, fun place to work, Berry Equipment and Rental on Addison and Twin Falls and South Lincoln and Jerome and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. And we're going to have old Nick from the Burley location on our program tomorrow. Berry Equipment and Rental. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. You know, I find this judge appalling that they could in any way determine that same-sex marriage would be legal. You know, the government and, you know, people in the government have perverted our laws since the beginning of time. At one time, I can remember the Indians were declared non-people, so we could just kill them. The Jews were declared non-people in Germany so that they could be done away with. And, you know, this is kind of the same thing, and it's just like abortion. You can kill an unborn baby, and it's legal, but if you touch an eagle egg, they'll put you in jail for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm really...
Same stupidity. One is protected and the other isn't. One is a non-person and the other isn't. And these gay laws are kind of along the same thing. They're a bunch of sick people trying to destroy our way of life and our country, and I just cannot swallow it.
All right, Jerry, I appreciate it, and I thank you for your call, because to sum up, and I'm totally in agreement with your statement, we've lost our moral compass, we've lost our moral values, and I do not like or respect anyone on the bench, a judge, that would say that because it's based upon religious feeling and thought in the state of Idaho that we're myopic. That really, really teased me off. We better get back to some moral values, and this better be appealed, and I hope this judge goes away in embarrassment. Jerry, I've got a whole list of calls I got to get into. Thank you, and God bless you for your call this morning.
You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Don't forget Penetron by Maisie, 20-year proven record of increasing yield and quality of all Idaho crops, speeding germination and reducing crusting and improving stand and stimulating root growth and microbial activity. Don't forget the water savings. Irrigation water savings alone will pay for the cost of the product. Better crop yields, better quality with Penetron Soil Conditioner by Maisie. Ask for that specifically with your fertilizer dealer and crop advisor. Penetron by Maisie. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Oh, not again. I got cut off again.
Okay, you're back.
Don't you just love the phone lines? I got cut off. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Please go ahead.
Hi. I am so upset about this gay crap. Whatever happened to the majority rules?
Good question, my dear. Whatever happened to the majority rules? Whatever happened to the people that stood up as a majority and they said they don't like this? What happened in California with Proposition 8? They stood up and the majority of Californians loudly and clearly said no to gay marriage, but it was overrun by the gay and lesbian and transgender movement. Whatever happened to majority rules and your vote counts in this country? That is an excellent question.
I just was so unhappy when I heard that announcement last night. I told my husband, I said, I thought Idaho had stronger people and had more sensible people than that.
Well, wait a minute. Let's be fair, though, lady. Please. Idaho does, but this federal magistrate judge is the one that has turned everything upside down. Our governor and everybody else that I've talked to is sickened by what this judge did.
That's what I was going to say. What gives one judge the right to knock down what the biggest share of the people want to be the law?
Well, this chief magistrate judge, Candy Dale, absolutely thinks that we're myopic and not smart enough in this state of Idaho to have any moral values or have a moral compass. And so she says that with this myopic attitude that we have in the state, that we are going to have to accept gay marriage. And I, for one, my dear sweet lady, will never accept that lifestyle as normal.
Me neither. And if she's so smart and so intelligent, hasn't she ever read the Bible? Doesn't she have any Christian faith?
Well, she made a statement. She made a statement that really irritated me. She said that not all religions share the view that opposite-sex marriage is theologically imperative. Well, sweetheart Candy Dale, I wished you'd get on this program. I would love to tell her exactly what I think of her judgmentship, if you will, and her myopic attitude about Christianity.
Right on.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day. Holy buckets, I got to run. Travelube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn. And, of course, the number to call, 438-8730. Travelube Supply. They can clean your air filters, and then you can reuse them, save money. They've got all the bolt bins, the bolts, the metric, and the standard. They've got all the oils. They got all the tools. Jim's going to be on the program tomorrow. He'll tell you more about it. All you have to do is call Travelube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn, 438-8730. They deliver the goods. Holy mackerel, we got to go right now to our friends with Lennox Home Comfort Systems, bringing you the Capital Press Ag Minute. And, of course, Lennox Home Comfort Systems are right through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly. Idaho dairy exports jumped dramatically during the first quarter of the year, driven by increasing global demand for cheese. The value of Idaho dairy products exported during the first quarter of 2014 totaled $99.7 million, a 94% increase over the same period in 2013, according to Idaho Ag Department data. The increase was largely driven by cheese exports, which jumped 230% to $36 million. Idaho's dairy industry relies on the export market, and more than 80% of the milk goes towards cheese production. Idaho's dairy industry produces more than 8,000 pounds of milk for each of the state's 1.6 million residents, far more per capita than any other state. This is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
And thank you very much. And don't forget, Lennox Home Comfort Systems available through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You better believe it. Hey, by the way, real quick, I want to remind you, Bill Baker is seeking first term as Jerome County Commissioner, District 1. And from his 35-year career with the BLM, where he held the positions in Twin Falls as District Manager and was responsible responsible for the annual budgets of over $20 million. This man is committed to having the best and most efficient government they can in Jerome County while living within their means. And he wants your vote on May 20th. Bill Baker, seeking first term as Jerome County Commissioner, District 1, paid for by Bill Baker for Jerome County Commissioner. Oh my, I think I hear the ding on my phone, and that means that we have with us our great United States Senator from Idaho, Mike Crapo. Mike, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. Good morning.
Mike, as you know, and this is kind of humorous in a way, but as you know, this time of the year going into the primaries, I've got like 9,000 commercials to do during the course of a program. So if I cut you short this morning, I think you'll understand why, because you've been there and done that type of thing.
I totally understand.
I want to get right into something that I think is extremely important, and maybe you don't, but I think you will. I think the questioning as to whether or not Hillary Clinton is physically capable of becoming a possible nominee for president, I think it's really justified when we're finding out that she fell, she had a blood clot, she's wearing glasses to help direct her vision through the blood clot, etc. We don't know the status of everything. And for the Democrats to sit back and criticize Karl Rove and the rest of the Republican Party and say, oh, they're just on a witch hunt, I remember vividly Barack Hussein Obama questioning the mentality of John McCain. So what's fair for one is fair for the other, is it not?
I guess I would say that it's fair because those kinds of shots have been taken, but if you go back and take a review, you know, they criticized President Reagan and said he was too old and shaky to do the job, and he did as great a job as we've ever seen, in my opinion. They criticized Dick Cheney and said that he had a bad heart and shouldn't be qualified to run. And my personal thoughts are that the use of, although it certainly is fair game, I don't think that the use of attacks on a person's health particularly gain a lot of support or make a lot of headway with the voting public.
I'll go into that and I'll agree with you, but when I look at and I'm an old man, I can remember there were a lot of questions about Franklin Delano Roosevelt being able to do the job as president after he suffered polio. And there's a lot of things that have come up about various presidents and their health, and they made fun of President Ford falling down the steps of helicopters. But I think that the public should absolutely know whether that person can stand the rigors of not only a very hard campaign, but also sitting in the office with their briefcase with that red button on and mentally be stable enough. I want to know if these people are healthy.
Oh, I think it's totally fair. Like I said, in response to your first question, it's fair game, and it's certainly the kind of thing that the public should understand and have all the facts on. I was just saying that I've seen these kinds of attacks on different political figures. Some I like, some I don't like. And in the end, I don't think that too many people pay a lot of attention to that, unless there is something that is really, significant that can't really be explained away.
Mike, I've got to ask you, we've been friends for a long time, and I know you'll give me a straight answer on this, from what you know back in Washington, D.C. Why? Simple question. Why did Obama release over 36,000 illegal aliens, many and most of which have been felons, a lot of them murderers, a lot of them arrested on sexual assaults, kidnappings, aggravated assaults, vehicle thefts, etc.? Why? And then he comes out and he makes a statement that enforcing immigration law isn't smart. This president does not have the option of enforcing or not enforcing laws. That's up to you folks in the Congress to dictate that. Since when did he take over as a dictator?
Well, we've been objecting to this for some time, and I've been on the side of those raising and criticizing the president's decisions to simply not enforce immigration law for the better part of the last couple of years. The answer to your question as to why he is doing it is that he objects to the law as it is now. He objects to the fact that Congress will not pass the kind of immigration law that he wants, and so he's deciding to use his discretion at the executive level to not effectively enforce the law. I think that it's absolutely inappropriate,
And I hope that more and more Americans begin recognizing this and speaking out.
Were you as upset about another subject as I was when we learned this morning? Basically, it's the first time I heard about the finality of a deal between France and Russia. Russia, because their industrial plants are in such total demise right now, they went to France and they're going to buy some warships that are made in France. After all the blood, sweat, and tears and lives that we've done for France, they're going to sell to our major enemy, if you will, Russia. Doesn't that offend you?
It does offend me, and frankly, we see this in a number of different contexts. It's not just with regard to France either. There are a lot of nations who, in the interest of selling product of their country, are willing to ignore some of the very kinds of alliances and friendships that we have built and developed over the years. This ties directly into our efforts to impose economic sanctions on Iran, and now our efforts to impose economic sanctions on Russia, to let some of these belligerent nations know that there are consequences to their inappropriate conduct. And we do continually see that some of our friends are more willing to engage in the economic commerce than they are to help us create the climate that will help force the right kind of conduct among nations.
You know, when you say friends, Senator, you know, I'm not trying to be divisive with you on this, but I'm just trying to say, besides Canada and besides Great Britain, and possibly as much as we've offended Israel, really, how many friends have we got left thanks to this administration?
Well, we certainly are narrowing the field, as you said. You may recall President Obama attacked President Bush in the campaigns by saying that Bush's foreign policy was too stern and too strong, and that he was causing us to lose friends in the world community. I think that President Obama's foreign policy has caused us not to gain any new friends, but to lose a lot of respect and confidence in the world. And it's because of that loss of respect and loss of confidence that we now see nations who are much less willing to stand with us on economic sanctions, or to stand with us in trying to deal with some of the kinds of very dangerous hot spots that we have around the world, where we need to have alliances and joint efforts in order to effectively respond.
Absolutely. Final thought here this morning, Senator Crapo, and I'm very concerned about these Muslim and Islamic terrorist groups like Boko Haram and Al-Qaeda, etc. They seem to be gaining in power and be gaining also in the heinous crimes that they will commit. Over in Nigeria, with the kidnapping of over 200 young ladies, we don't know where they are, we don't know the status. They threw about 50 young men into a fire pit, burned them alive, and this group was taken off of a terror list by Hillary Clinton. What kind of idiocy is that?
Well, I don't think there's an explanation that can justify it, but we are certainly going to try to find the explanations. The conduct of oversight that Congress has the authority to do is one of the critical functions that we have here in Congress. Although the president's party controls the Senate, and that makes controlling the oversight hearing process much more difficult, we do have control of the House on the Republican side, and I believe you will see some pretty significant investigation into the proper management of the terrorist watch list. And frankly, it comes in both directions. There are lists now, terrorist lists being created that should offend people by what kinds of things the administration is considering to be potential terrorist activity, like storing extra food or wanting to have access to firearms under the Second Amendment and so forth. And so while the administration is starting to focus on those kinds of topics, we see the situations like you described getting less attention. And I think we need some strong congressional oversight.
I've known you for a long time, and I find you to be a man of character. And how do you sit in the Senate chambers and listen to a man like Harry Reid get up with all of his blasphemous statements without standing up and yelling and tearing your hair out and telling him to go sit down in the corner and behave himself?
Well, you're right. It's very, very frustrating. And one of the things that makes it tolerable for folks like me is that we represent folks like you and the other folks in Idaho who are so sensible and level-headed and have such a common-sense approach to how we should govern. And frankly, there are a lot of people in Congress, supported by a lot of people in America, who do have it right and who are fighting for the right things. And so although in the Senate right now we have a gridlock that is inexplicable in terms of the management that Senator Reid is imposing, I believe that we can't simply step back. We've got to step up and continue to fight it like we are every day. And ultimately, I think that the American people are getting so fed up with this that they'll recognize what the source of this problem is and help us to correct it, hopefully in the next election.
Absolutely. Senator Mike Crapo, I say thank you. Please, I hope you're not offended because of the brevity of the time this morning, but I'll make it up to you sometime in the future, and I hope you'll call back soon.
Not at all, and tell everybody out there to vote in this primary. Get out there and cast their votes.
Absolutely. United States Senator Mike Crapo, thank you. God's blessings. I hope everything goes well. Thank you very much. Thank you. I was not aware, and I know that my cohort in crime, Gina, was not aware that we were going to get a call from United States Senator Mike Crapo this morning, and which is good. It keeps us on our toes. I'm dancing like Fred Astaire right now, and everything is well in the land of a lot of commercials. Hey, don't forget, Speaker of the House and Representative of District 27, Scott Bedke, urges you to go vote in the primary election on May 20th. And Scott is very concerned for Idaho and its growth and prosperity. And he's also really concerned, like all of us should be, about the future of the United States of America. And he urges you to exercise your patriotic duty and go vote next week on May 20th. Please, don't sit in the coffee shop and complain. Go vote and let your voice be heard. Paid for by Representative and Speaker of the House Scott Bedke of Oakley, District 27. Oh my, don't forget too, like I mentioned earlier, Lennox Home Comfort Systems. My mind went totally blank. I had to look at the sheet. Yes, sir, and these home comfort systems from Lennox at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You be sure and stop in or give them a call at 678-0459. Really, really good folks. Okay, now it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And we'll quickly do a little bit of the weather with MichaelRogersWeather.com, brought to you this hour by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. And minor emergencies, major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. They take care of the breaks, sprains, strains, headaches, cuts, rashes, sore throats, coughs, everything. You just stop in or give them a call, 678-6996. Here's Michael with the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. For the next at least 48 hours, maybe kicking another day. You're going to see some nice weather. Sunny today, high 77, 84 for the high tomorrow. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael, and brought to you by Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley, 678-6996. Minor emergencies, major care. You be sure and get a hold of them today. By the way, too, Brad Little is running for Lieutenant Governor again. Vote May 20th. He wants your vote. Idaho is an example of what conservative governance looks like and reflecting work ethics and values other states crave. That's why we need to keep Brad Little as Idaho's Lieutenant Governor. He wants your vote on May 20th. Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor. Paid for by Senator Dean Cameron to re-elect Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I have one big fat question for you. Where is this wonderful federal judge? Is she back in San Francisco?
I'm not exactly sure, Helen. I'm looking here to find out the location, and I believe that she has an office for her ruling in the state of Idaho, but I will find out. I will find out where she's at, and I would relish the fact of sending her correspondence about I don't appreciate, as a religious person, being called myopic because of my views.
Well, really and truly, get her on the radio and let's give her hell.
And I'll be honest with you, Helen, I'm not above that at all. And I will try, because you know that if I don't like somebody or don't like an issue, or even if I do like somebody, I'll try to get them on the air to give an honest appraisal of their viewpoints. But trying to get a federal judge, especially over a situation like this, on a program to discuss their viewpoint and their ruling, I'll bet you is going to be virtually like trying to keep a snowball from melting in the oven.
Right. And another question, too. I sent you a list of people that's running for office.
Yes.
Not in our areas. I would like to have them interviewed on your program if we could, so we know who's up for office.
Okay, now let me explain something to you, Helen. Helen, let me explain something to you and everybody else. And this is really important, and I'm glad you brought this up. If I have one person on a show free on my time to explain why they're running and how they're running, then I have to offer candidate B the same time, okay? And it gets to the point where I don't have time for everybody and I can't give them all equal treatment. And so you've got to understand that on a talk show such as this, there is no way in the world that you can give a gratuity of time and interviews to every single person on that list. I think on that list there was 14 or 15 people, and I just can't do it, nor will I even try, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
I really do. And another thing, too, I would like to see your face when you have to do Mike Simpson's.
My face hasn't changed. It's got fatter somewhat, and it's got grayer around the hairline.
Oh, Bet, I just love to see your face.
Okay, well,
how well you love him.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're so shy and retiring, and I love you. Thanks so much.
Have a good day.
All right, God bless. Take care. Oh, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a fantastic basketball player, and when he grew up in New York, of course, before he changed his name, he was known as Lou Alcindor. And but he has stepped out the last couple of days, and I think he stepped into a huge puddle and got his feet wet and muddy. He made a statement, and I do not like Bill O'Reilly. I don't care for him, but I watch the show to see the viewpoints and also to hear what the guests have to say if they ever get a chance to talk. But I will say in this instance, in the talking points last night on Bill O'Reilly, I do agree with O'Reilly that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar made some statements about how we as a general public are too split and diversified with our opinions about gay marriage, homosexuality, and other issues, and that when our old philosophies, basically of being religious, kind of like this federal judge, we should shut up and join the new philosophy and everybody sing Kumbaya and try to get along. That is sick, perverted, and I will not be led into a ring of sheep. For him to say this comment and basically say that anybody that falls out of the mode, like me criticizing, I don't believe in gay marriage. I don't think there should be gay marriage. I think a marriage should remain sanctified between a man and a woman. I don't believe in that gay, lesbian, transgender movement. I think it's absolutely perverted. I still have that right to believe. You do too. You still have that right to believe in your faith and your moral values, and you should always try to promote your faith and moral values. We've got away from it in this country, and that's why we're going to hell in a handbasket. But I'm not about to be shut up by any group, any entity, or any speech police that deem what I say or do is not politically correct. We have to be very careful here. We're on a slippery slope right now with the liberals in this country and the left and the Democrats. I hope they're offended because I meant it to be offensive. Trying to regulate what we do and say and take away parts of the Constitution that are very near and dear to all of us. Remember that. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, I want to remind you that Eric Snar, Sheriff of Minidoka County, wants your vote on May 20th, and he said he has leadership that listens. He's a Gulf War veteran, 18 years law enforcement, proven leadership, and dedicated to the people. And he pledges to the citizens of Minidoka County to make Minidoka County and communities a safe place to live, work, and raise families. He wants your vote on May 20th. Eric Snar for Sheriff of Minidoka County, paid for by Jason Gibbons, Treasurer. I've got phones going off, and I put the phone in my pocket, and I can't see. It's probably Gina sending me a text.
Nope, I didn't send you a text, but I did want to jump in and say this about the judge, Candy Dale. Now, Candy Dale actually is from Idaho. She got her undergraduate degree at the College of Idaho back in 1979. She got her Juris Doctorate, meaning she went to law school at the University of Idaho. She graduated in 1982. From there, she went on and she worked at various law firms, and then she was actually appointed to the district court in November of 2007, and then she was appointed to be a federal magistrate judge for the District of Idaho on March 30th of 2000.
You've done a lot of homework in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not that difficult. And then,
well, it is when you're trying to do a talk show, and all of a sudden, I can't do that on my computer. I like that. That's good.
On a computer, that's the whole thing. But also, there's two major things that she's done. Of course, her ruling on this particular case about the gay marriage ban in Idaho.
Yep.
Also, Judge Dale was the presiding judge in the case where the Idahoan Environmental Group attempted to block the 2-day hunting derby for wolves. Remember that?
I do, and yes, I've got that story here someplace in my pile of papers.
She declined to issue that injunction on that derby, which allowed the derby to proceed.
But, you know, I'm really glad you put all that information forth, and I will try to reach her at an office and try to get her on this program. But
I can tell you what, judges will not
They will not come on, I know that. But I'm hoping maybe we could get a spokesman for the office or something. But I will say this, and I'm going to stand behind it 100%. I think that we have a value system in this state. I think that it's a very conservative state. And I think that for 8 people, 4 couples, to turn upside down traditional marriage and put it in the trash can, I find that highly offensive. And I want you to respond to this as a journalist, Gina. Forget everything else. When a judge calls religious people and conservatives myopic, that's offensive.
That is offensive, and honestly, to say, when she brought in the position of religion, tell me one religion that finds this acceptable.
You know, and that's something that I'm not even going to pursue, because I won't denigrate another person's religion by trying to find it, seek it out, and then, sandblast it. I'm not going to do that.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
I can't think of one. And I'm looking at so many various aspects of religion, and I can't find one that has ever come out blatantly and said that they wanted somebody to marry their dog. You know what I mean? That's pathetic.
You've got a quick phone call.
Boy, I'm almost out of time. Good morning, caller. You are on the air. Go ahead, please.
You know, when you have an appointed judge who is not elected, they feel, there is nothing to stop them from doing what they want. And this kind of activism is common. And it's let's face it, it's happening to us in our very own state. And this type of thing is here. And we'd like to think it isn't, but this is proof that it is. And just like when the trend, when the society thinks in a certain way, and other people are attacked because they are, called names because they're homophobic or whatever, myopic, you see what happens is they cower and they fear, and this is where inspirational leadership is able to tactfully do this in a way that isn't offensive and pull us away from this type of thing.
Well, here
we have no leadership, and the people are afraid to look foolish. You can't do that. You're homophobic. You're prejudiced. You see, this is the kind of thing that makes people just retreat to their house.
Well, I got to go and do a commercial, Randy, but I will say this, and then I want you to give a short answer in response. The people of Idaho have spoken. The majority of people do not want gay marriage. The people in California did the same thing, fighting against the acceptance of gay marriage in their state, and they were run over. I think it's time to draw a line in the sand, what we want, what we stand for, and morality. And if we don't stand up for what's right and wrong in this country, there won't be any right and wrong anymore. It's just going to be a gray mush, like having oatmeal for breakfast. It's going to be just very nondescript. I got to run. Appreciate your call.
This shows that if we continue this direction, that we will suffer the consequences, and, I don't know. We have to hope for the best.
I agree, Randy. Thank you so much. I appreciate your call. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with the very best of all the tires for your cars, pickups, and SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, everything. They've got all the tires and all the different treads. You better believe it. And along with that, free lifetime tire and mileage care, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and of course the best in batteries, but always the best in service to you. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Pauline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back, and next hour we've got my good buddy from Colorado, Doug Johnson, coming on the program. 9:30, Doug Manning is going to be on the program talking about a big cleanup. He's going to bribe you with hot dogs. And then at 10:06 this morning, it's time for the big boy with the Idaho Fishing Game, Kelton Hatch. Don't go away, I'll be right back. What?
One thing. Idaho Judicial Council, every appointed magistrate judge does have disciplinary action against them, and it is called the Idaho Judicial Council.
We'll do some further survey and research on that. Appreciate that, Gina. Thanks. All right, we're going to be back in 6. Don't go away. Oh, good morning. Good morning. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. And, boy, we got a busy hour. And thank you very much to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And our friends with Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, as they say, always at your disposal. Don't forget, they've got all the porta potties for rental, and they've got all the dumpsters in various sizes to clean up the garage, the basement, etc. They can help you, and of course, the greatest in route service pickup of your garbage. Call them today at 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Well, we're going to ask the lovely Gina Jameson over at our studios if we could have this good word for the governor, and we'll be right back.
Out here, we live by a simple code. We stay true to our family, our friends, our community, true to our values. Governor Butch Otter has been true to us, true to Idaho's conservative values.
I'm Governor Butch Otter. I know that sticking to Idaho's values gets results. That's why so many things that I've set out to do have been accomplished. I kept my promise to provide tax relief to the people of Idaho. It was long overdue, and I've shown that we can run the state on a balanced budget.
Butch cut our taxes by $150 million, helping individuals and families. Butch is fighting to take control of Idaho's water quality standards from the EPA. And even though critics said it couldn't be done, Governor Otter balanced our budget without raising taxes. There's no doubt about Governor Otter's conservative values and who he serves. He serves us. There's still a lot of work to be done. I need your vote on May 20th, and I'll keep working hard and staying true to our Idaho values.
Paid for by Otter for Idaho, Cordell Chad Brown, Treasurer.
Thank you very much. And right now, also, before we get our guest on the line, I want to remind everybody about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward and his entire family and staff. Hanson Mortuary, always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity and working with you and your family through a very difficult time. And they want to make sure that your expectations of a service to be met and exceeded. So please call them today. Get the pre-information that you need, and it'll help alleviate a lot of the stress and the worry for our families. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert with our dear friend Joel Heward. Don't forget, Hanson Mortuary. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and it is Wednesday, and my dear, dear friend Doug Johnson, great author, blog writer of Horse Sense. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. How are you this morning? Or should I ask?
No, go ahead. I've got a smile on my face and a spring in my step, if you can believe that.
Well, I can believe that. I'm glad to hear that. That's good.
All right. Doug, I'm going to have to intercede in about 6-7 minutes. We're in the middle of political season for the primaries, and so I've got a lot of ads I've got to get in, but I just want to start things off by saying I really, really enjoyed your Horse Sense blog in regards to the Committee on Benghazi. One of the things that I've said on the program many, many times is I don't trust John Boehner. I think he lost any credibility with me when I saw tapes and excerpts of him and Obama buddy-buddy after hours, basically kind of sitting back and tipping a brewski. I want politicians that go to Washington, work for the constituents, and really don't try to become friends with the other side of the aisle. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all, but unfortunately that's not the way it works, and people like John Boehner are a perfect example of what we don't want. For one, he's been in office too long. I have become a strong believer in term limits because it seems to be the only way you can control these people is to take away their ability to create a dynasty or to create a kingdom. And he's certainly one who's done that. And so I personally believe we need term limits, and we also need to take away their lifelong benefits. Don't give them retirement. Don't give them all these things once they leave office. They go, they serve, they leave, they go home, and it's over. And then there's no incentive for them to stick around there.
You mentioned in your article that was very well written, Select Committee on Benghazi success will be determined by citizen. When you started talking about Trey Gowdy, I don't know what it is about that young man. I don't know if it's kind of a bulldog, tenacious attitude or a look out, if you turn around, I'll bite you attitude. I trust this kid. I think he is a good representative of the people. What do you think?
Oh, I think he's excellent. I've liked him since he was first elected. I think the thing about Trey Gowdy that stands out to me so much is he's clearly after the truth, and that's it. He doesn't care about people's opinions of him. He doesn't care about where things land. He doesn't care about which side of the aisle things are on. All he cares about is the truth. And that's the kind of person we need. And I think he is very formidable in his abilities, and I think that's a very big plus for the American people.
I want to shift gears a little bit in the time that we have that's a little abbreviated today only, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this mess with Hillary Clinton. Last half hour, we had United States Senator Mike Crapo from the state of Idaho on the program, and I said to him, I think anybody that runs for political office is fair game, and us as constituents and possibly the voters for them should know about health problems. We should know everything. And I do not at all find what Karl Rove said about Hillary and possible brain damage offensive, because this goes all the way back to FDR. When he had polio, there were questions. This goes all the way back to any president, especially Obama, questioned, if you'll recall, John McCain and his mental capabilities. So this is nothing new, and I think we should know what happened to Hillary.
Well, we should. I don't think we will, or what we will hear won't be the truth, because it doesn't matter since she's a Democrat, and they're never held to the same standard of accountability as that. In fact, Barack Obama is a perfect example. We know nothing about his health. He has never released a medical report. He will
right.
not release it. He's released nothing about his personal life. We know nothing about him. So I think that's what we're up against, is that they will just simply cover up and not say. And the other side of it is, really, it doesn't matter, because she's not going to be making decisions. She, like Obama, will be told by her puppet masters what to do to push the progressive agenda should she be elected. So I don't think that, and I'm not trying to poo-poo your point, I'm just saying the reality of the situation is this. I agree with you entirely that it's important and that we should know, because we're talking about the person who is supposed to be leading our nation, and we're talking about a person we have to rely on. So, you know, I mean, I remember so vividly when Ronald Reagan was running, and they were so concerned about his age, and of course lifespan was about 10 years less then than it is today, and how brilliantly he handled Walter Mondale's issue when Walter Mondale brought up in debate and said he wouldn't make the youth of his opponent an issue in the contest. And, of course, that put away the age issue for him. But people were always concerned because of his age about things. And you're right, John McCain had to deal with it, too. So I think we should hear about it, but I don't think we will. And I don't think it's ultimately going to make a difference in the election.
Absolutely. Doug, stand by just about 1 minute exactly. I'll be right back with you. I want to remind everybody that Senator for District 24 for the great state of Idaho, Lee Hyder, says, please vote on May 20th. And vote for him, a man that's been devoted to the state of Idaho and has done a great job for all of us. The best always stand the test, and Idaho Senator Lee Hyder is one of the best. His diligent perseverance, authoring the Right to Hunt, Fish, and Trap Amendment, will serve Idahoans for future generations. Don't forget, when you go to the polls on May 20th, vote for Senator from District 24, Lee Hyder, paid for by Lee Hyder for Senate, District 24. Also this morning, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind everybody about our dear friend. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get to that spot in a moment, but quickly, I'll tell you that Ken Menzel from Minidoka County Sheriff wants your vote on May 20th. That's coming up next week. Don't forget, Ken Menzel says he wants to maintain a high ethical and performance standards for himself and the entire staff, and actively seek cooperation between all local law enforcement agencies for maximum crime prevention and enforcement results. Don't forget, May 20th, vote for Ken Menzel for Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by Elaine Stevenson, Treasurer. Doug, one of the things that really bothers me about this administration, and you and I have talked about this privately and then also on the air, is that this president is seemingly going above and beyond the law and taking himself as a king or a dictator. Recently, he released, with the stroke of a pen, over 37,000 illegal alien criminals. There were 193 murderers, 426 sexual assaults, 303 kidnappings, over 1,000 aggravated assaults. He let them go. And then he made a statement that enforcing immigration law isn't smart. That's a direct quote. Please respond to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, it's hard to respond to because it just seems so obvious that we have a lawless president, a lawless administration, and nobody's doing anything about it. You know, and I will. I'll say two things. One is, you just took a break from our discussion for a commercial, and let me say that's critical right now. Your listeners need to be out there voting, because this upcoming election in November, which the primaries are being set up for, is critical for whether we can turn this around. And so that commercial couldn't have been more timely for the question you raised, Zeb. I think what is going on is absolutely outrageous, but I think short of a major change in Congress, it's an unstoppable thing, and we're going to see this country continue to go down that path, because their plan is, before the summer's over, to pass amnesty. They'll call it immigration reform, but it's amnesty, and that will throw a big change in the future of this country when they do that. And so we have very little time to stop this.
You know, one thing I wanted to mention and you are very perceptive on different quotations and what's been done, what's been said, etc. Here is a quote that Obama made. He said, quote, "The illegals are folks who are woven into the fabrics of our communities," Obama said. "Their kids are going to school with our kids, and listen to this, most of them are not making trouble, most of them are not causing crimes." This comes out with that statement right after he releases 193 murderers, 426 sexual assaults, 1,000 aggravated assaults. This is so ambiguous and so stupid to say something like this by the President of the United States trying to oversee the laws. That's not his job.
No, but he is determined to, using the concept of fairness as defined by him and by the left, he is determined to make people feel bad and feel like, well, yeah, it just isn't fair, when fairness has nothing to do with it. When somebody commits a crime and they're penalized for it, yes, their family pays too. And it's sad that the children go through a lot of difficulty and the spouses go through difficulty when somebody commits a crime. But this is part of the cost of committing the crime. And so part of the penalty is that your family pays too, and that should be another deterrent. But when you take away all deterrents to crime, they no longer are, and crimes are no longer seen as crime, but seen as unfair. All of a sudden, you end up with a different outcome, and he is being very successful at getting Americans to see things in terms of fairness when fairness is not reality. I mean, Zeb, I will wager, and you know I'm not a betting man, but I would wager that when you were growing up, your parents reminded you regularly that life is not fair. And mine did too. Mm-hmm. And most of the people of our generation understood that, and I think that's something we don't see anymore. All people think of is fairness. As an employer over the years, 39 years working, so many times people would come into my office and say, such and such a thing is not fair. And every time I'd have to look at them and say, where did you get the idea that things have to be fair? It's not about fairness, it's about right and wrong. And this is where America has gone off the rails because, and I'm kind of going down a little path here, Zeb, but I really want to say this. Recently I read a study that has come out. Only 22% of Americans still believe there is an ultimate right and wrong. The rest believe in values that allow for adjusting right and wrong based on the situation. 22%. So we are in the vast minority who believe there is an actual right and wrong.
Would you agree, my dear friend, that you could replace in any sentence or paragraph the word fairness with equality? That's what the left is demanding today, fairness and or equality. And there is no such thing as equality. I don't care where you go. I don't care what job you're involved in. I don't care what sports team you belong to. I don't care if you're a bowler. I don't care who you are. There is no such thing as equality straight across the table that will ever work or permeate itself in society. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, not at all. I think you're absolutely right, Zeb. I think, but you see, you and I come from a perspective that we understand that's the way life is. I mean, your newsletter this last week hit me so hard, and I know how much I know about it. And when you wrote about your experience as a child with polio, and so many people would look at that and say, well, that wasn't fair. Well, yeah, it wasn't, but that's the way life is.
That's right.
And what did you do, and what did your family do? They raised you to be an overcomer, not to sit and wallow in self-pity. And that's what you've done. And this is what we're losing in America, teaching our citizens, our people, our young people, that you overcome and you achieve no matter what the obstacles are. But this administration, the left, does not want us to think that way. They want us to think that we have to have, and you chose the perfect word, they want us to have equality based on their definition. And this is what's undermining America.
But, you know, now with the left in power right now temporarily, and the crybaby attitude, oh, woe is me, gimme, 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 with the millennials and every other group that is clamoring for more that we provide through tax dollars or welfare assistance, how do we get out of this rut?
It's so huge, and you know, in 5 minutes or 5 hours, we probably don't have enough time to talk about all of it, but it comes down at the core level, in addition to what we have to do politically and things right now immediately to stem the tide. Long term, what it comes down to is returning to the values America was founded upon, returning to the biblical values, to God, and raising our children to revere the right values and turn the nation around from there. But it has to start with our youth. But my fear is we don't have time to do that.
You know, Doug, I don't have a lot of time left, but I want to just touch on this real quick. I see something else that bothers me a lot, and I'm very afraid of. I see the left, the Democrats, the liberals, all trying to pull us into a little cesspool of sameness. They want everybody that might speak out against gay marriage. Oh, we got to find you. We're going to make sure that the hates and the bigots, all those are put into a cesspool, never to speak again. All those that don't believe in certain things, all those that don't believe in corporate welfare, all those that don't believe in unlimited immigration, we're going to have to pull you back. No more free speech. This is what's happening in this country. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was very, very, it scared me. His comments about how government and regulatory systems should watch and listen to people that speak out of the norm. And evidently, I'm speaking out of the norm now, and they're going to try to have the PC police shut me up. Doug, we all need to be very, very careful about the First Amendment and exercising of our free speech.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and while all of our rights are important, and there's a huge movement these days to stand up for the Second Amendment, which I think is important,
Yep.
I have said for a long time the most important amendment, because all of them ride on it, is the First Amendment. Our right to free speech, free thought, free ideas. I may not like what Donald Sterling, the owner of the LA Clippers, said, and I may think it was a terrible thing, but you don't win anything by shutting him up. You stand for his right to speak that way, and then you love him in. You come alongside and you show the man where he's wrong. You don't win people by screaming and yelling and fighting. You win people by coming alongside and showing them where they're wrong in a loving way. And so we have a double-edged thing here. We have the PC police, which is our government, coming down on people, and we're seeing it. I've seen it in my own personal life. I've had the threats. Things I've never shared that I won't share, but things that would put a shiver up most people's spine have happened to me because of things I say and I write. And I know other people are the same way. I'm sure you've been through similar things, Zeb. And this is the stuff we're fighting so hard not to allow to happen, but it's already happening. They're already telling us this. They're already saying, for example, on the issues of like the baker who doesn't want to bake the cake for the gay wedding or the photographer who doesn't want to take the pictures, they're saying we want to change the ways they think.
Yep.
And they threaten them with jail and fines so they change their thinking if they won't do it voluntarily.
Absolutely.
What we're up against, it's a very, very slippery slope.
Absolutely. I've got time for 1 minute left. Caller, real fast. Don't be long. Go ahead.
I will not be long. We as conservatives have always said that all men are created equal. But the progressives and the leftists have taken that and say that we have to have equal outcomes in our life. And that's where the problem has started. Thank you.
No, that was a very well-stated remark. Doug, respond to that gentleman. He said it very succinctly.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he recapped, actually, in a nutshell, what you and I have been trying to say for the last 10 minutes.
Yes.
That's it. And this is what we're fighting, and this is why I go back to the break earlier. Get out there and vote next week. It's critical. The local elections, the national elections are all critical this year, every single one of them. Get people out to vote and educate those around you.
Doug, the very best to you. I hope everything goes well. You're in our thoughts and prayers. I know you're going in for a little bit of surgery, but you know that Deanne and I are concerned about you, and let us know how things go, okay?
Well, thanks, Eb. I appreciate that. And appreciate your friendship. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Great author and a great spokesperson on our program, Doug Johnson from Colorado. Really, really enjoy him. Thank you very much. And to that caller that just called in, I certainly didn't mean to sound like I was trying to... Well, I was trying to expedite you, but I understand, and you'll understand, that I'm just swamped with all kinds of things to get on for the May 20th primaries. Thank you for a very good remark. I appreciate that. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Dean Cameron, Senator from District 27, running unopposed on May 20th, but boy, you talk about a voice of influence, a voice of caring, a voice for getting things done for the state of Idaho. That's the voice of our friend Senator Dean Cameron. We appreciate him. Dean is the highest-ranking senior member of the Senate, and he has been a senator for 24 years. He thanks all of you for the support you've given him, and he looks forward to serving you in the future. He says, please vote on May 20th. Let your voice be heard. Dean Cameron, Senator, District 27, paid for by Idaho Senator Dean Cameron. Oh, my. Hey, in just a few minutes, we're going to have Doug Manning on the program with us. That's always eventful and interesting as we both try to trip each other up with trivia questions. But today we're going to be talking about a cleanup campaign. Don't forget Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. I mean, they've got all the Flex Steel furniture. The Flex Steel difference is right there for you to see and appreciate at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And they've got all the recliners, all the sofas. They've got all the carpeting, rolls and rolls and rolls of carpeting, and all the mattresses, beauty rest mattresses, all the bedroom sets. Wow. What are you waiting for? You better get on in to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And a staff that can answer all your questions. Stop in at 459 Overland in Burley. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Really, really nice people. I also want to remind you about another gentleman that's running for political office, and we're going to get that up right now and tell you about Chris Jensen. He was on our program yesterday. Chris Jensen, 24 years of law enforcement experience, wants your vote on May 20th as he runs for Minidoka County Sheriff. Ethical and honest, experienced and dedicated, with public commitment to do the job for you, and open-minded to look at all sides of an issue, and very financially accountable. He wants to bring new leadership, a new vision, and a new direction to the Minidoka County Sheriff's Office, so he's asking for your vote on May 20th. Elect Chris Jensen for Minidoka County Sheriff, paid for by Citizens for Chris Jensen, Barbara Jensen, Treasurer. Okay, lots and lots of good people have put a lot of time and effort into running for political office this year, and so we appreciate each and every one of them. By the way, real quick, I want to remind you, too, Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center at 382 North Overland in Burley. Minor emergencies? Major care. The doctor will see you now, not in 4 or 5 days. You might have a break, a sprain, a strain, headache, cough, skin care problems, cuts, rashes, sore throats, whatever, they'll take care of you. Minor emergencies, major care, that's the way it is. The doctor will see you at Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center. Walk-ins are welcome, no appointments necessary at Riverview Urgent Care and Medical Center, 382 North Overland in Burley. Really good folks. All right, let's see if he's there. Good morning, Doug Manning. Are you front and center?
Yes, I am here, if you're there.
I am here and listening to you. What in the world?
I'm excited to see your man Clay Aiken win the Democratic primary in North Carolina.
Wait a minute, Manning. You want to get cut off now, or do you want to talk a little bit further this morning?
I thought that might raise your blood pressure.
It did, and quite frankly, I'll do something equally nasty to you in the future.
I'm sure you will.
By the way, I think it's imperative that we tell everybody at home that I called Douglas the other day at his home and stumped him with a trivia question, and it made my day. I walked around the house with a hallowed feeling for about 3 hours.
Boy, you stumped me indeed. I have to give that one to you.
Doug, what do you got coming up? You got a whole bunch of cleaning up to do, right?
Oh, we do. This is, this began back with our centennial back in 2005, and for the last 9 years we've had an annual citywide cleanup day that takes place this coming Saturday on the 17th, and we start at 8 o'clock in the morning. And we've got hundreds of volunteers involved, and they're from churches, civic groups, or school groups involved. And we start at 8 o'clock, and the city will furnish the garbage bags for people. And this is just a general cleanup. A lot of these organizations have
areas that they've selected to go clean up, and it might be a roadway or a street or sidewalks or whatever, and get rid of the weeds and the trash, and just in general make things look a lot better. Along with that, we've got the City Service Center on Park Avenue open from 8 until 4 for people to take whatever they have there, shrubs, trash, garbage, grass clippings. They can dump them off at the city. However, they do not allow tires or large appliances, so please don't bring those.
Okay.
And the way the whole thing ends, we have a hot dog roast that's free in Centennial Park, and we'll start cooking those hot dogs about 10:30. So there'll be some available within about 10 or 15 minutes after that. There's chips, there's water, and we give you that for just coming out and helping out. It's just kind of a big fun thing that morning. And I want to thank the Burley High School Ag Department for loaning us they have this phenomenal grill that they've made over there, and we've used it for several years. And my appreciation to Sam Condi for that. And just a good time for the businesses to clean up their grounds and their areas, as well as private individuals. And I want to point out, too, that our BAT team, this is a group of dedicated women in town that work on beautification projects. They'll be out putting those flowers that you see up and down Overland and Main Street. They'll be putting those out Saturday, too. So a lot of people working and a lot of people just volunteering their time and efforts to make the city look better.
Doug, do you see over, let's say the last 10 years, do you see more of a slovenly attitude or a more cleanly attitude of people wanting to take care not only of their property but also the civic beauty of the entire area of Burley?
You know, I think it's mixed, Zeb. I see some people that really go the extra mile to get that done and try to look as good as they possibly can, but there's an element that doesn't. And, I feel bad about that because growing up as a kid, you see everybody out in front of their businesses, washing the sidewalks, washing the windows, sweeping the sidewalks off. And I think that's diminished a little bit over the years, but I think for the most part people make that effort. I think it's pretty mixed, but we appreciate those that do.
You know, as far as communities are concerned, when you go around the state of Idaho, and I've traveled probably more than most, and you look at whether it's Burley or whether it's Twin Falls or whether it's Weiser or whether it's Homedale or whether it's up by Rexburg or whatever, honestly, I think the people in Idaho are more conscientious about keeping things up and picking up trash and keeping lawns mowed than I do, and I see in a lot of other states and a lot of other communities.
I think that's a good point. I do the same thing when we travel. We always pay attention to the other communities and see what they do and how it looks. And I think with people here, for the most part, one thing I really like is I see less and less litter along the highways when we're driving here in Idaho.
Yeah. Why is it, and I could never understand this, when I used to have my outfitting business years ago, we had a policy, pack it in, pack it out. And only thing we want you to leave are footprints. That's basically what we told everybody. Well, why is it that people just absolutely can't remember that when they're done with a soda can or they're done with a candy bar wrapper, put it in their pocket, put it in their saddlebag, put it in their bike bag or their basket, whatever, take it home, throw it away. What's so hard about that?
Well, I don't know. You know, my parents were crazy over the top about that, and consequently, we were with our kids if we went somewhere. We spent a little time up in the mountains around Lake Cleveland and Thompson Flats in the summer, and our kids, and they passed that down to theirs too. And I just think it's however the generations feel about making things look good and passing it down to your kids. Because I know I see our kids teaching our grandchildren, clean this up, don't leave a mess for somebody else. So I appreciate that.
You know, I would be amiss if I didn't ask you a trivia question before I let you go this morning, and we also give another plug to the cleanup day. And I'm going to give you such an easy, vanilla question that everybody's going to think that it was a setup, but I know you know the answer to this, and if you don't, I hope it embarrasses you.
Okay.
What was Chester's last name on Gunsmoke? What was his last name?
Goodbody.
Pardon me?
Chester Goodbody.
No.
It wasn't Goodbody?
No. You had half of it right.
Good something.
No, it was good. Chester Good.
Oh, it was just good. Okay.
Yeah. Boy, do I feel good. 2 in a row I've nailed this guy on.
Twice in a week, didn't you?
I tell you what, there's into every life a little bit of happiness must fall, and knowing that I stumped you on some trivia, it makes me feel just so saintly this morning.
Well, I'm happy that I could make you feel good today.
Wrap it up by telling us again about the cleanup, Doug. Starting time, where, everything.
It starts at 8 o'clock, and if you're not with a group that's cleaning, just come to City Hall. We'll be here. We could suggest a place where you could go, but we'll have the garbage bags available for people. The service center's open from 8 to 4. You can take your stuff there, but no tires, no appliances. But we want you to come down to Centennial Park right in front of City Hall around 10:30, 11 o'clock, and you get free hot dogs. And they're going to be well done. I want you to know that. But they're free hot dogs. You get chips and drink with that. And just kick back and relax and have some fun with everybody that worked that day. And we look forward to having everybody here.
You know, Doug, I appreciate you coming on the program this morning. Great civic value and a lot of fun for everybody. So thank you very much for sharing that with us this morning. And we'll talk to you later.
I appreciate the time, Zeb. Have a good one.
All right, sir. Thank you much. Doug Manning, and talking us about the big city cleanup going on in Burley, and I'm glad that he came on and shared all that information with us this morning. By the way, before I start taking some more of your phone calls, my good friend Dave Zanino. Dave, if you're listening this morning, Dave Zanino is going to have again for this summer what they call the Wednesday night summer roping series at the Jerome County Fairgrounds, and it's going to be starting next Wednesday, May 21st. Next Wednesday, May 21st. And wait a minute. Let me check that. May 21st? Next Wednesday? Yes, that is correct. My calendar, you got to look at the right month, Zeb. May 21st. Sign up at 6:30, rope at 7, 3 for 20 draw pot, enter up to 6 times, and Dave Zanino for more questions, 431-1263. Dave did an excellent job last year putting those ropings on at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. Everybody really complimented him and how he ran it, along with his wife, Dawn, and the rest of the crew. It was really great. By the way, our representative for District 27 running unopposed this year in the election, Fred Wood, says please get out and vote. He, first of all, wants to thank everyone who's voted for him in the past, and he encourages everybody, don't complain, go vote. Make your voice heard on May 20th. Show that you care and are willing to take charge of your future. Fred Wood, representative for District 27, saying to everybody, please go vote, and he also thanks you for your past support, paid for by Fred Wood for House Seat 27. All right, now it's your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. By the way, Gina, quick question. What in the world is going on with record mogul and a man that his voice was world famous from the 60s all the way until the latter 90s, early into the 2000s, Casey Kasem? They can't find the man.
Didn't he die?
No!
I'm Googling.
Well, you see,
no idea.
They can't find him. Here was what happened. Okay, I'll give you a little synopsis, and it's kind of spooky, really. Casey Kasem, everybody knows the top 40 with Casey Kasem, and when we were growing up, we listened to all the music and everything, and he always had little bits and tidbits and stories about the artists and stories about the records. Well, he's 82 years old and world famous, and all of a sudden, they can't find him. And it's really kind of turning into a mystery. I don't know what's happened since I heard this early this morning, that A, they can't find him, B, they don't know if he's alive or dead, C, his daughter wants to know what happened, D, his wife that he remarried after a divorce, she has got kind of a guilty aura about her as to what happened to him, and they think at the last juncture that I heard prior to going on the air this morning that he may have been taken to an Indian reservation in Washington.
What?
Yeah, I'm not making this stuff up. How could I? It's really crazy. But Casey Kasem, you know who Casey Kasem is.
I remember listening to Casey Kasem growing up, and I just brought up an article that's put out by the Variety.
Yeah.
And his daughter, Carrie Kasem, is alleging that her stepmother, Jean, moved him to an undisclosed location.
And they think it might be an Indian reservation in Washington.
I have a whole bunch of relatives that live in Washington, so there's only a few Indian reservations, some in eastern and some in western.
Yeah, let's see. We got the Umatilla Reservation. We've got the Spokane Indian Reservation. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones.
Reservation. There's one just up north of Potlatch.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few. There's the Nisqually Indian Reservation, which is just outside of Olympia.
But why in the world would a man like Casey Kasem, and he's not in the best of health, and everybody knows him and appreciates him, and this wife that he divorced and remarried, some of the children, including the daughter that you were just talking about, are questioning something maybe not legal with this lady versus what she did to him, and they can't find the man.
Kerry Kasem, his daughter, was actually awarded conservatorship by the judge on Monday.
Yeah.
Basically, that takes the stepmom out of anything. And so if anything happens to Casey Kasem, the stepmom isn't going to get anything out of this. So why would she even want to do this?
I don't know, but I just thought I would alert you to the fact that here's a man that everybody growing up for the last, 40-plus years, maybe 50 years, has heard of Casey Kasem with the top 40 and his analogy of all the singers, and he did a fantastic job of kind of giving you little stories and backgrounds on the songs, how they were written, why they were written, and everything.
I used to love it, and then he used to do the letter from the listener.
Yeah.
Things like that. Oh, yeah, I used to watch and listen to Casey Kasem all the time. Of course, didn't he do American Bandstand as well?
That was Dick Clark.
Was that Dick Clark?
Yeah, Dick Clark had American Bandstand with ABC Network and everything, but Casey Kasem, I mean, my goodness, America's Top 40, I mean, I listen to that religiously. I love all kinds of music, but this is kind of a gruesome story that the poor man, 82 years old and not able to care for himself, now they can't find the guy.
He apparently he suffers from Lewy body disease. I'm going to have to research it.
Lou Gehrig's disease? I think it is.
It says Lewy body disease.
Okay, well, whatever the disease, the man cannot care for himself, and everybody's kind of pointing the finger at the former ex-wife remarried to be the wife again, and the daughter doesn't trust her at all. As a matter of fact, there's some bad blood in that family.
Apparently so, and an official missing persons report is apparently going to be filed so the FBI can step in on this as soon as that is made official.
Isn't that sad? I mean, when you stop and think about it, here's a guy that was so well known in music circles, he could go anywhere. He could go to Motown, he could go to Nashville, he could go to Los Angeles, Hollywood, California, he could go Chicago. Everybody would roll out the red carpet for him, and now, at 82 years in his life, they can't find the man.
They can't find the man, and what's sad to me is the guy can't talk anymore. So, if he could be able to open his mouth and speak, boom, he would be immediately recognized, and everybody would know who he is. But now in his current condition, and if he can't speak, then nobody's going to know, and hopefully he has the wherewithal to be able to write. But I'm aghast at this. I'm just, wow.
Yeah, follow that for me a little bit, if you would. And when I get back, I got to do a commercial break here, but I got to tell you about two guys that are involved in acting and entertainment that I think they ought to be thrown in jail, fed bread and water until they can clean up their personalities. And I'm going to talk about both of them here in just a minute and see if you agree, okay? Let's do a weather forecast. And the weather this hour is being brought to everybody by Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Number to call, 733-3546. Don't forget the best of guns, ammo, accessories, all there with people that really are knowledgeable at Red's Trading Post. Ryan and the rest of the crew, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. For questions, call them 733-3546. Here is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Go to the next at least 48 hours. Maybe kicking another day. You're going to see some nice weather. Sunny today, high 77, 84 for the high tomorrow. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. And don't forget, too, brought to you by Red's Trading Post. Love that shop. I just get in there. They've got all the guns, ammo, and accessories, but people that really know at Red's Trading Post, Twin Falls. By the way, too, I want you to remember that Let's Ride has all your ATVs. I'm telling, look at the weather outside. Blue sky. It's going to be nice. You just heard Michael's weather. Get out, enjoy Mother Nature at its best here in the state of Idaho with an ATV from Let's Ride. Oh, boy, yes. Gas them up and go. And don't forget they got the Can-Am side-by-sides. Really great deals, rebates, and great financing. And, by the way, they got all the dirt bikes, 0% financing for 5 years. But they also have a service department, second to none, that can really take care of any problems you might incur. They know to get you on the go. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. You stop over and see those good folks today. I was talking to Gina a minute ago, and I don't get a chance to visit with her very often, but Gina, you know who Alec Baldwin is, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
What a crumb. You know, I mean, what a crumb. This guy could do so much good, but he has got a mouth on him, and he's got a personality that he expects everything catered his way 24/7, 365. If somebody asks his wife a question, one of the media, he goes over and grabs them, and he's been arrested. He's had warrants served on him and everything. He got arrested again.
Yeah, riding his bike the wrong way.
Yeah, but did you hear what he did? I mean, the guy is out riding his bicycle in New York, and he goes the wrong way down a one-way street. So here comes the cruiser, and they turn on the siren. They pull him over, and they're going to give him just a cheap little citation for going the wrong way down a one-way street. So Alec Baldwin, true to form, has to let his mouth go overtime, and he starts berating the police, and all of a sudden another cruiser got called in, and they handcuffed him and took him down and booked him and arrested him. Why is this guy so stupid?
Obviously, he does not learn from his own mistake.
Do ya think?
Well, okay, so I'm sitting here reading this story. They were just going to issue him a little citation.
Yeah.
Going the wrong way, but then, of course, he's got to pop off at the mouth. And so he starts popping off at the mouth, and he doesn't have any ID or proof of identification of who he is, so they cuff him and stuff him because he's being belligerent. Okay, so that's what you do. So, being an actor and being somebody in the stature that he has and that he should respect but doesn't, you would think you would learn just a little bit of common sense. This is not this is not the first incident that he has been.
He has had so many incidents, and you remember he made a statement here about a year or 16, 17 months ago, something like that, where he said, I've had it with America, I've had it with the news media, I've had it with all these idiots, I'm going to leave to another country. And there were a lot of people in the news media that chipped together and took dollar bills out of their billfolds to help him buy the ticket to leave. I mean, this guy is really a crumb, and he just keeps adding to his problems all the time.
Well, he is going to have a very, very large rap sheet by the time he gets done, and probably his lawyers are loving him because they're making bank off of this guy. And if I was his wife, I would send him to some serious anger management classes or something, get him into some counseling because he needs to have a zipper with a lock on it.
You know who else has got problems this morning? You know who else has got problems? Justin Bieber did it again.
Oh, can we deport him yet?
The Beeb. You know what he tried to do this time? And they're not sure how it's going to progress. Maybe you have the latest over there coming up on the news media this morning. But when I went on the air this morning, he may be facing attempted robbery charges. You know what he tried to do? A lady was taking his picture as he was walking by. And he reached out and tried to take the cell phone from her and throw it away.
Wow.
What a dumb kid.
He just needs to go. He needs to go. Again, this kid needs some serious treatment. When you're in the media eye, people are going to take pictures of you. And when you make yourself a public figure, you have to kind of conform to that lifestyle. You don't have any privacy. That is the lifestyle that you chose. So you cannot be offended by somebody for wanting to take your picture on their cell phone.
Amen. Remember, I'm trying to think of the actor's name, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise tried to do all this foolish stuff to go after the paparazzi and everything. You know what? And a point was made on one of the talk shows. I can't remember if it was on Greta or somebody else. It was thanks to the paparazzi that built their careers. And then all of a sudden, when they think they're so God-blessed and above everybody else, they start condemnation against the paparazzi and against the public. It's almost like they picked a gun up and they're trying to shoot themselves in the foot by being stupid.
I agree. They chose this lifestyle. The media does help put them into a higher level of fame, but hey, let me tell you what, we all put on our pants the same way.
Big boy and big girl pants, you better believe it. Hey, I got to pay some bills.
Yes, you do.
All right. Don't forget our dear friends, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Yes, sirree. Think about life insurance? You should. Health insurance? You should. Retirement planning, employee benefits? You better. And they are the professionals when it comes to all of those items. Yep, Dean, Cameron, Todd Siemens, dedicated and responsive to your needs, believe me, and very accessible in helping other people. You give them a call, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. They are waiting right now for your call. You take care of it today. Oh, by the way, Gina, it's time. We better listen to this good word for Congressman Mike Simpson.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho, because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much. And by the way, also talking about May 20th with our primaries, Eric Snar, Sheriff of Minidoka County, wants your vote on May 20th. Leadership that listens. 18 years law enforcement, proven leadership, dedicated to the people, zero tolerance to drug crimes. He pledges to the citizens of Minidoka County to make Minidoka County and the communities within the county a safe place to live, work, and raise families. Want your vote on May 20th. Eric Snar, Sheriff of Minidoka County, voting for, asking you for your vote on May 20th, paid for by Jason Gibbons, Treasurer. Gina, did you hear, real quick, I've only got a couple of minutes left here, but I had this story, and it was so sad. I saw a husband and wife in Florida this morning, and they were being interviewed on television. They have taken their life savings, and they have applied it to helping other people. What they do in Florida, every week, they try to have a big food fest for the homeless people. And they take their own money and they buy this food, and for people that are having trouble getting around, maybe with transportation problems and everything, and they can't walk very well, they even try to find bicycles for these people, and it's coming out of their own pocket. And they've been having this gathering at a city park in Florida where they feed the people and they try to give them little gifts and everything. Well, they got a gift in return. The police department came by and slapped them with a $600 permit fine and told them to cease and desist.
Well, I hope that when they go in front of the judge and they explain themselves, that the judge is going to have a kind enough heart to just say, okay, case dismissed.
Gina, when you do something today nice for somebody else, it's almost like you can expect to get a slap in the mush.
You know, they are trying to have that Christian attitude. They are trying to show the community love from their heart, love from the kitchen, and love from the pocketbook.
Look at the money that they're spending on the food to feed. I think they're feeding around 150 people at this gathering. And you know you can't hardly feed anybody anything for less than, what, $3-4 a plate today? And then they're going out and they're trying to get like little things like bicycles, etc., for transportation for those that have leg problems. And then the cop walks up to them and says, here is 2 citations, one for each of you, totaling over $600. See the judge. Don't do this anymore. We're going to slap another fine on you. Wow. What were they doing to hurt anybody?
Nothing. And honestly, I think that the police officers need to go and have some sensitivity training.
Bingo. I totally agree with you. But, you know, there's so many good people out in the world yet today. And they try to do something nice for their fellow man. And there's always somebody there with a little citation book that says, we're going to get you. It's a shame.
And I don't think that that's right. You know, they're just trying to spread the Christian love and you know, show love to their fellow mankind in their area, feeding the homeless, basically, and they get slapped with a fine. So I'm hoping that the judge will dismiss the case.
See, I'm going to show some Christian love next hour. You know what I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
I'm going to allow Kelton Hatch from the Fishing Game to be on my program.
Did he bring you donuts or something?
He doesn't bring anything. I still haven't got a Christmas card from him, and it's been for the last 19 years.
Well, tell Kelton that he needs to start bringing you cinnamon rolls.
I'll even send a couple over to you.
Oh, please do.
All right. Hey, listen, we're going to take a little break. Be back in 6. Don't go away. Welcome back, hour number 3. It's the comedy hour with the Fishing Game. I haven't got your mic on yet.
I am going to make a correction. I did bring you a Christmas card this year.
Yeah, but somebody else paid for it.
No. Jerome did.
You see? Was it a personalized gift? No, it wasn't. I got to give my opening. Can I do that quickly?
Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Kelton Hatch Show. And this is Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some really good advertisers. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. Before we go any further, my wife really treats you kind of special.
She's a sweetheart.
She just
I still haven't figured out what she's done to deserve you. Don't shut off the radio yet. We got some important things to go over. But
you giggle and cackle like Phineas T. Bluster on the old Howdy Doody show.
Yeehaw.
Would you pull your microphone a little closer to you, please? Yeah, you can do that, can't you? No, that cake was good.
No, it was awesome.
Okay, awesome. Well,
yeah, that was
it was good.
It was pretty phenomenal.
Yes, we had a piece of cake during the break, and yes to those that thought I was just on a self-induced vegetarian-type diet. No way. I love that cake.
Yeah, that was good.
We got to take care of some things here. Talking about food, hey, listen, anytime you want to, you can swing by and pick us up, and we'll be glad to have you by down at the Chadwick Sports Grill. And that's in Burley at 139 West Main. Today, I like this. Sweet and sour meatballs with steamed rice, super salad, just $8.95. Food is great. The people are so nice. You're going to love it at the Chadwick Sports Grill. All the menu items and the environment with all the sports memorabilia, you're going to love it at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. And we're going to be having quite a few different words of wisdom here, and we're going to start off real quick with this for Congressman Mike Simpson, and then be back with Kelton Hatch with the Idaho Fishing Game. We're going to have this word for Mike Simpson, and then be back with Kelton Hatch from the Idaho Fishing Game.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters, who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho. Because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message, paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much, and don't forget Vicky's Country Gardens bringing you Gardening for Idiots, named after me, every Thursday at 9:12 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Vicky's Country Gardens with all your gardening needs right there at the location at 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Lovely lady, Vicky's Country Gardens. Good morning, Mr. Hatch.
Good morning. How are you doing today, Zeb?
I'm good. We've already got a telephone call, and we haven't got into anything. Quickly, caller, what can I do for you?
Zeb, yesterday my wife and I took a little trip up in the hills, and we went up Big Cedar. And that's where the big fire was 2 years ago. And you ought to see the grass up there.
Yes.
We're headed for another fire season.
I think, and I'll stand right here and say it, that I think they should waive the restrictions of 2 or 3 years non-use, and they should let people in there to graze it and get it down, because we're going to be looking at another devastation, in my opinion, if it's not utilized.
You're very right.
All right.
They should let somebody in there to graze that thing and get that grass out. I mean, there's a lot of grass, a lot of feed in there.
Absolutely.
I just want Kelton to comment on that a little bit, and thank you, and have a good day.
All right, sir. Kelton, really, I know maybe this is not in your realm of job expertise, but honestly, there is a lot of grass up there.
Yeah,
and I do not want to see another devastating fire like we had 2 years ago.
You know, one of the things about that, we don't have anything, any say on the BLM and Forest Service grounds. You know, the fire has, things have just bounced back and are tremendous up in there. And
I think more than expected.
Well, yeah, I do too. It was a good mosaic pattern. It left islands of older habitat, and then you've got this rebirth of a lot of this other stuff. We got a lot of grass and forbs, the flowering plants. Yeah. We're seeing bitterbrush and sagebrush already regenerating. Yeah. So it means it didn't burn hot, and I think it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous area. You know, I'm hoping that we don't have another fire season. I'm hoping that we continue to get a little bit of moisture all summer instead of being so nice and wet right now and then just turns off hot and dry. But you know, on the management of the land, it's I'm not involved in going up there and doing those deals, and I know BLM has looked at it pretty close. And so,
well, I just and I've been up there and have looked around and everything, and I even remember talking to you off the cuff last year. I know that you don't have any jurisdiction or legislation about it, but I said last year, boy, I tell you, with a little bit of rain and snow, this is going to come back and really be shiny for a lot of grass, hopefully, so that it can be utilized as a feed and not act as a furnace in case we get another fire.
So, yeah, it'll be, and I don't know what I'm sure that BLM's looking at it, and probably, you know, if things are looking good, they may open it up next year. You just don't know. And so
how you been?
You know, things have been going really good. It's just busy. We're fishing with hundreds of kids, it seems like, every day.
So you got the trailer out, huh?
We've got the fishing trailer out. We've got, the biggest thing we're hitting right now is trout in the classroom. We've got,
really?
You know, we had a bunch of kids from Burley over the other day, caught a lot of fish, and from the high school.
Now, when you say you had a bunch over, where were you fishing?
They went down to Hagerman.
Oh, okay.
What we do is trout in the classroom. We go into I've told a lot of people they're familiar with this a bit, but for new listeners, we go in and we bring fish to their classroom and they raise these trout.
Yeah.
And then we go in and we do a dissection with the kids and we talk about
mass murder.
Yeah. Yep, they're dead before we get there. And then we go in and we do a habitat talk about what it takes to raise a fish and stuff like that. And then we take all the kids fishing. And we took Mr. Smith's and Mrs. Heiner's class from Burley High School this last week, and we had about a little over 100 kids there.
Wow.
They're supposed to have 175, but I guess for other issues they weren't able to come, or other deals. But this week we've got next week, I guess, we got 350 from O'Leary coming one day.
350 kids in one day?
In one day.
Well, you're going to have lures sticking out of your earlobes.
Well, we break them up into several groups. Usually about 6 to 8 groups.
And distantly apart.
Yes, and we try to only fish about 65 kids at a time.
Holy, 350 kids fishing in one day?
In one day.
You're just asking to be put in a straitjacket.
Yeah, you feel like it after a while. But
Would you leave the rest of the stuff on my table alone?
With the horse.
Yeah, you already ripped my horse apart. Look at his neck's not in very good shape. You gave him a tracheotomy.
Well, he's breaking down on the withers.
Yeah, the withers are kind of shot too, thanks to you.
He's a round-backed horse, though.
But, really, hats off to the fishing game if you've got the patience to babysit 350 kids.
The thing is people think the thing that pays it off. I've got some reservists, some volunteers. A lot of folks know Gene and Wright from over there.
Do they really know what they're getting into?
Well, these guys have been doing it. I know that some of those guys have probably fished with 20,000 kids over the last.
You're serious.
I'm serious. And over the last 10 years, because we average about 2,000 kids a year taking fishing on this, and they volunteer for everyone. I've got a couple over here in Twin, Barry Myers and Nils, that they go on every event. Lanny Ames from over here, he helps a bunch, and Earl from over in Burley also helps a ton. And so we just get all these volunteers, and they come over and they help us. And
do you have kind of a retirement home for these people?
They feel like they need one after, I think, the end of the day. But these kids, when you have a kid that's 16 or 13 years old and come up to you and they're excited,
and they've never fished,
they've never caught a fish, or they've never been fishing.
Really?
And there's this girl, she was all dressed to the nines, and she comes walking up, and she's hugging a fish. Hugging because she couldn't hang on to it, and she didn't want to lose it because it's the first fish she'd ever caught.
And dressed in really nice clothes.
Nice school clothes. It wasn't like he was out, pitching manure clothes or building fence or something like that. It was, really nice school clothes, and they were just so excited. It was kind of funny to watch, but that's what pays it off to these guys, I think, is being able to see these kids. And you've seen that over at Rockies. We're going to be doing that event over here for the kids in Murtaugh, and, you think it's funny, but these kids over in Murtaugh, it's not funny, because it was a few years ago I asked these kids, how many of you guys have been fishing? In the classroom, only 2 of them had ever been fishing.
And you would think, honestly, in
country
a rural
kids?
Yeah, you'd think in a rural area that almost 99% of the kids would raise their hand.
Yeah, you'd think a fishing pole would be attached to a hip, because you're just, whenever you're going somewhere, if you got a minute, you go catch a fish
Because,
somewhere.
when I was in grade school, and this is a true story, and it's the way it was, I went to a one-room country school. And every Friday, Gary Nottestead and a couple of us other people would, at noon during lunch, we would sneak down a little hill in back of the school, and it went over to the Hake Farms, okay? And they had some little trout ponds over there.
So you snuck in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. And we would keep our fishing poles out in the tall grass out behind where the school property was, and then at noon hour, whoop, we're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And down there fishing. And everything went really good until we got caught.
Yeah. But you see, but we had more of that drive. Now the kids, they just want to run outside and sit down and play with their iPod or their cell
really,
phones.
Don't you think we ought to just get away from that kind of it's ruining our society.
Yeah, about drives you nuts sometimes. I'm not going to go quite as far as completely ruining society. It may be, but it about wears me out.
Well, I will stand behind ruining society because we've lost contact with people on a one-on-one relationship, how to talk to people.
That's true. That's very true, yeah. Well, it was like the other night, we went out to supper, and a family sat down by us, and they all pulled out their phones. They never said a word the entire night. Two kids,
you got to be kidding me.
2 adults. And so, no, it does have an impact, and I think it has a direct impact on the time people spend in the outdoors and how much they enjoy the wildlife.
We're going to come back and start talking about the controlled hunt applications in Unit 54 for archery, so stand by for that. Right now, I want to remind everybody out in the audience about some of the folks that are running for office on May 20th, and one of those is Chris Jensen. He wants your vote on May 20th for Minidoka County Sheriff. 24 years law enforcement, wants zero tolerance for drugs and gangs, and believes to be ethical and honest and experienced and dedicated. And he wants to bring new leadership, a new vision, and a new direction to Minidoka County Sheriff's Office by seeking the elected office for sheriff. Once again, that's Chris Jensen for Minidoka County Sheriff. Want your vote on May 20th, paid for by Citizens for Chris Jensen, Barbara Jensen, Treasurer. Also, real quick, I want to remind everybody about Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. Yes, sir. Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor wants your vote on May 20th, and reflecting the work ethics and values others crave in other states, and he's promoting it right here in the state of Idaho. That's why we need to keep Brad Little as Idaho's Lieutenant Governor. Idaho rancher and a small businessman, and he wants to help Idaho raise incomes and create more jobs. And he wants your vote on May 20th. Brad Little for Lieutenant Governor, paid for by Senator Dean Cameron to re-elect Lieutenant Governor Brad Little. Kelton, what about the archery? It's growing in popularity, isn't it?
Well, it grew so much that we ended up having to make that a controlled hunt this next year.
In Unit 54?
In Unit 54 for the archery only. It had typically been just a general season. We got up to around 900 hunters up in there.
900?
During that bow hunt. And so we'd gone from roughly 250 to over 900 in 9 years. And so it's become a controlled hunt, and the reason we brought this up last month, the reason I'm bringing it up again this month is controlled hunt applications are going on right now, which we had that little discussion earlier because Zeb's going to he's going to put in for his South Hills deer tag.
I was.
You are.
Yeah.
You got till June 5th.
And I better not put it off any longer because I'm going to forget. However, in the note of forgetting, you were supposed to bring me my big game book.
Yeah, well, 30 days has a way of working on my slow, feeble mind, and I forget things once.
I appreciate your honesty. I really do.
So, but you got a vendor right up the road here. Maybe I'll run up and grab you one.
Oh, thank you.
So, but I just want people to know, if you want to hunt Unit 54 this year with your bow, you have to apply. It's an unlimited entry, so it means even if you put in for a trophy species deer, a bighorn sheep, moose, goat, you can still apply for this tag, and you're guaranteed this tag.
I see.
But it limits them just to hunting that area.
Okay.
And so they can't jump from general unit to general unit. There will be hunting 54.
Somebody the other day mentioned to me about, is there a clear definition of where 54 and 55 co-join? And
Goose Creek Road.
It's Goose Creek Road, and people should be cognizant of that because you have a lot of overlap, I think.
Well, you do, because people, you jump over on the other side of the lake, and it's like, you feel like I'm trying to think. A lot of people feel Trapper Creek, possibly it.
Yeah.
But it's not. You can hunt on a 54 tag up to the Goose Creek Road on the west side of the lake. That is, and I've talked to quite a few folks that are hunting 55 tags right down to the edge of the lake, and it's like, no, you got to get across the road.
Okay.
And so that's where that joiner is.
What about this commission meeting that's coming up? Possibly you've got on here discounted tags. What are you talking about?
So there's a lot of things that are coming up in this commission meeting. It starts in Lewiston on the 14th evening and the 14th, so tonight.
It is tonight.
Tonight in Lewiston, we have our public hearing. So if it'd be pretty rough. Well, you could still probably get up there before 7 if you took off right now. But it's going to be a public hearing to testify to the commission. Should have a pretty good turnout to that. But we're going to talk about budgets. We're going to talk about updated turkey seasons, outfitting. Waterfowl outfitting. Some WMA stuff, lots of different things that they're going to be discussing. But just jump up there, and or you can wait for the news later.
Are we going to have any commission meetings in other regions of the state?
Well, yeah, we had one just this last year here in Jerome, and then we'll jump over. Typically they're in Boise and stuff, but there's a lot of things going on right now. We've got some LAP. They're going to be discussing LAP, and for people that don't understand what LAP is LAP is Landowner Appreciation program.
Okay.
And so
that people can hunt.
Well, what it is, the LAP permits, we give, landowners have been able to apply for X amount of tags.
Oh, I see.
Like if you, well, how would you feel if you, I mean, you do live here in 54,
yeah.
But now if you had 600 or 700 acres that you had deer and stuff on, but you could never draw a tag to be able to hunt your own property.
You'd feel like, why should I worry about this?
Yeah. And so we've got a lot of landowners that provide a ton of habitat for fawning and for, just deer and elk living and pronghorn. And so there's this program where they can apply for these tags. They have much better drawing odds than we do, but they can draw these permits for their ground so that they can hunt around there. Well, the LAP program is actually being looked at to be changed. We're looking at a lot of possibilities of changing that from if they get an LAP tag, they can't make depredation claims. Like on the loss of like corn crops getting eaten out or things like that, or they're looking at but they're also looking at making those tags guaranteed, so those landowners that are applying for those tags, they just get those tags every year.
Okay.
And so but they're also looking at the possibility of selling those tags. Allowing landowners to sell them like they do in other states, Oregon, Washington, Utah, and stuff like that.
Whoa, wait a minute. How does that work? You mean like if I was a landowner and my neighbor says, gee, I'd like to have a tag to go hunt, well, I could sell him a tag legally?
Legally. One of the LAP tags, one of the landowner appreciation program
But
permits.
Only for that property.
Well, that's still up for debate. So the reason I'm even talking about this is...
Now you've got me confused.
I do. Because this tag could be good for the entirety of the unit. Because you got to realize some of these landowners only provide habitat for deer during certain times of the year. They may only have deer in there in the middle of the summer, or they may only have deer in there in the middle of the winter in December when there's no hunting season. But they're still providing habitat for wildlife a certain time of year. Like over in southeastern Idaho, 65% of our winter range is on private property. So if the private property decides to subdivide and make it into housing complexes, we start losing deer like we did around Bear Lake when we lost all of Fish Haven and all of those little recreational communities over there. We've lost half of our deer population because of subdivisions on private property.
Okay.
So, but the reason I'm bringing this up, they'll discuss this some at the meeting this week. They're not making any decisions because on May 29th from 6 to 9 p.m. at our regional office, we are having a public meeting on these proposals. You can go onto our website, read more about it at fishandgame.idaho.gov, and then come over. But we're looking for a good cross-section of sportsmen and concerned citizens and landowners because we'd really like to talk this out, and there will be probably a change in the next year.
Okay. Well, you've got to have a commercial break, and then we're going to send it back over to our main studio. Stand by. Don't forget, Bill Baker is seeking first term as Jerome County Commissioner for District 1 of Jerome County, and his government experience and expertise comes from 35 years career with BLM, where he held the position as Twin Falls District Manager and was responsible for the annual budgets of over $20 million. He's committed to having the best and most efficient government they can in Jerome County while living within their means, and he's the right person for the next 4 years to meet the challenges that will come to Jerome County. Bill Baker for first term as County Commissioner, District 1, paid for by Bill Baker for Jerome County Commissioner. Also want to remind you about our dear friend, Senator from District 25, Jim Patrick. Jim says thank you. Thank you to everybody that has supported him over the last couple of years, and he appreciates everybody's support, and he urges you to go out and vote on May 20th and let your voices be heard. Deep understanding of water issues, agricultural issues. This man has been a real asset to the state of Idaho. Senator from District 25, Jim Patrick, paid for by Jim Patrick for Senator, District 25. I thought I heard the moo of a cow. Did you?
You're part of it.
Okay, we've got a quick call, and then we're going to send it over to our station. Go ahead, caller, please.
Yeah, Zeb, real quick. You've talked to probably all the sheriff's candidates in Minidoka County. I've never seen any of them make a statement on the Second Amendment. Do you know anything? And I'll hang up and listen.
First of all, I think it would be inappropriate for me to make a comment about something they did say or didn't say regarding the Second Amendment in their political run for office. I don't want to get involved in that because of something I might say that might be wrong, and I think the best thing to do is to contact them, ask their stance on it so that you are well informed as to what their position is on that and many other subjects. Talk to them personally, because I will only do the copy for the advertisement on the air and will not handle anything about their feelings or how they stand on certain issues. That's not up to me. That's for them to say. And I'm not trying to be avoiding, but I just do not want to get in the middle of trying to advocate possibly one over the other one. I got to be real careful there. Did that make sense to you sitting in the studio, Kelton?
It did.
That a boy. Thank you. We're going to send it over to our main studio and be back in just a couple of minutes.
And now, here is Zed.
Thank you very much and welcome back. Hour number 3, and we're on the air with our monthly report from the Fish and Game and Kelton Hatch. We're going to have Kelton back on in just a moment. Don't forget Representative Clark Kaufman, a Filer area farmer and small businessman, running for re-election for state representative in District 25, Seat B. He's done a great job, and he's a great individual and wants to keep on serving you. He received the Ag All-Star Award for his voting record in both 2013 and 14, and he received a 100% voting score from the Idaho Water Users Association, and he encourages everybody to go vote on May 20th. Remember, Representative Clark Kaufman for District 25, Seat B. Go vote on May 20th, paid for by Kaufman for Idaho. State Representative for District 25, Seat B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. There's a lot of good people running for office, Kelton.
There are.
A lot of good people.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, we need good people. Walleyes, Snake River, fishing report. My favorite thing to do that I don't get a chance to do very much of is go fishing, and I love walleye fishing. It brings me back memories to Lake Michigan and Wisconsin and Michigan, and oh my goodness. What about the walleye report? We've got a caller on the air. Do you want to take that or answer this first?
Let's take the caller.
We're going to take the caller first. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
I apologize because I do not have a question for anyway, Mr. Hatch. My comment is this: if that previous caller had been to the Tea Party meeting last Thursday, he would have known how to vote for the sheriff, because all 3 of those candidates were there and they gave their opinion about the Second Amendment.
And I appreciate your saying that, sir, because I will not reflect any of their feelings personally on any issue that if it's not in the ads, I'm not going to say it, because that's up to them to give the promotion of their own thoughts and ideals. Walleyes, let's get back to that. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. This isn't a good thing, though.
Oh, you got bad news in River City?
That's the problem with it. Have you ever heard of Johnny Appleseed?
Johnny Appleseed?
Yeah, Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, well, you said Seeden.
Yeah. Well,
was that his cousin by a different marriage?
You going around Johnny Appleseed.
Okay.
Just mean dropping critters off in different spots. This was a Johnny Appleseed planting.
What's it to do with walleyes, for heaven's sakes?
Well, because we caught this in the Snake River.
What?
A walleye. We don't have walleye in the Snake River in the Magic Valley. This was a 5-6-year-old ripe female. She was full of eggs. It looks like we've had somebody that had captured her, put her in a live well, released her. We've gone down. It's really concerning, and the reason is because where this big walleye was caught was in a stretch of river that is some of our only production for natural production for sturgeon. And walleye are very voracious, and they eat everything, and so we're really concerned about getting, we don't really want walleye in the Snake River system, because you've got sturgeon, you've got salmon and steelhead, and walleyes are known to eat all of those. And so it could have a major impact for management on overall, and so we just don't want, I guess the reason I put that in there, we caught this fish. If anybody else catches any near that sea strike down by Hammett, down in that country, call us, tell us about it. We went down and electrofished 12 different areas, trying to see what the population possibly would be.
Did you find any others?
We did not find any others, fortunately. But we're really concerned because, I mean, if you get a large population, the water's clear and clean, you're going to have a walleye take off, and they could have a major impact on our sturgeon fisheries.
Now, let me ask you this, and this goes back into my childhood days being raised in the upper Midwest. Isn't the walleye a member of the pike family, the northern pike and the muskie family?
They are. And
they're almost like predators.
They are.
Yeah.
That's all they eat is fish.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's good for carp, but it's our naturally spawning native fish are a major concern.
Well, how did the fish get in the river? I mean, it sounds to
well, we're guessing. When I say Johnny Appleseed, every once in a while we'll have good-minded people that are trying to that really like fishing a certain species of fish that will catch them, put them in their live wells, take them to another lake that don't have them, and release them. And that's what we feel had happened with. That's why I said Johnny Appleseeding.
Is there a fine or a penalty if you ever found that out?
It is. You cannot leave a lake or reservoir with minnows or any live fish. Your fish have to be dead if you're taking them.
Really?
Because we don't want to have outplants, because we just don't have the ability to be able to, if we don't know what's going on, we're trying to manage these different areas for different type of fishing opportunities, and that's not a good place for it. So that's a concern. So if you catch one down in there, I was going to find out exactly. Doug had left me a little message.
By the way, why didn't McGargle show back up this month?
Well, he was busy. He was busy.
He was busy. So. He's supposed to take me fishing, and he's always busy.
You can come over and we'll take you fishing over at Rockies.
Oh boy!
And so, but I was going to tell you because of lack of storage. Outplants on Little Camas Reservoir, Mormon Reservoir, and Thorn Creek Reservoir are not going to happen this year because the water levels are down so far. But other things that are going on right now, I mean, we've got some great fishing going on in both Oakley and Salmon Falls Creek Reservoir, and things are starting to kick up at CJ Strike.
Well, now isn't there walleye up at Oakley and
they
other
are,
places?
But those are closed systems.
I see.
Those are closed systems, and so we don't have to worry about spawning sturgeon. They're put in take fisheries more because they can't migrate downstream.
I see.
And so that's our biggest concern.
So you want to make the message to everybody very clear. Do not even think about dumping another fish into another waterway.
Well, I want them to think about it. I don't want them to do it, but I want them to I want them to have the whole full knowledge. I hate to make because some people just do it. It's like my kid the other night. He says, well, just because they said not to, I wanted to. And so I told him that you can't be like that.
Can't do
so
that.
I'm just going to say, think about the resource, what we're trying to manage, so please don't go out and do that.
Okay. All right. Remember that. What about, now, we've already covered this, haven't we?
We did. We talked about TIC, but I was going to talk about some of the other things that are going on in the Magic Valley. We've had over a 10% increase on our lek counts. You remember I told you I was out counting sage grouse on the lek.
You were also supposed to stop and pick me up one morning, and you never did.
I did. I knocked 3 times. Nobody answered. It was at 4:30. I didn't knock. I know you're up.
You didn't pull in the yard at 4:30. You've never had your eyelids open at 4:30 in the morning.
That's the time I had to take off the other morning to get down to Shoshone Basin in time. You bet. Right now things are getting earlier, and I only had one more trip, and I didn't have. I didn't have time.
For a man that has donated a lot of time to the fishing
you're
game.
a sweetheart, Zeb.
Don't go that far.
Okay. But no, our overall counts are up over 10%. We're seeing really good production.
Good.
Oh, it is. Down south, in the southern units, 54, 55, we saw a little bigger increase, but overall through the whole region, about a 10% increase. I was going to talk about, I'm trying to think what else on wildlife. Make sure when we was talking about the controlled hunts, I didn't go into it. It's time to apply for all your controlled hunts for deer, elk, and antelope. You've got from now until June 5th to do that.
Get that done.
You can go to any of the regional offices, or you can go to any of our licensed vendors. All our licensed vendors are set up. And then also right now we've got bear hunting and turkey hunting going on.
Bear hunting's going on right now, right?
It is.
Okay.
We had an incident that I was going to talk about. We've got a new bear education page on the Fish and Game website.
Bear education.
It is. So people can ID the difference between a grizzly bear and a black bear, and it goes through a testing system.
One will eat you and one will run away.
Both will eat you.
They will both eat you.
Black bears are actually more aggressive typically than grizzly bears.
Than grizzlies?
There's a lot more incidents with grizzly bears. One of the reasons is because you got a higher population. But, I mean, you know, you see almost as many you see more incidences with black bears than you ever see with grizzly bears. You bet. Black bear sows are just as productive. Black bears are more frequent around the state of Idaho. And so you have to be on your guard with both. But we had a grizzly bear that was shot the other day by Island Park. And the hunter he thought it was a black bear. And they killed it, and so it's under investigation right now. But I just wanted to tell people, if you're in any of those areas, go to this website. Just get yourself familiar with them. It's a kind of just go to Fish and Game, and it's a bear education page, and it'll go through and give you a little test.
So what you're telling me is that when I'm out in the wilds, I should carry my portable laptop with me along with my gun, and then if something stands up in the brush and goes, "Wow!" and is trying to kill me and eat me, I should look at my laptop first to distinguish and discern whether it's a grizzly or a black bear. Is that what you're telling me?
Just you, but please coat your computer in maple syrup so it'll come closer. No, I'm saying take the test before you go out so you know what they look like.
And wear little bells and berries, right?
That way they can locate you. I always loved it. I've worked a lot in grizzly bear country, you know, and people say, well, shouldn't we be wearing bells? I go, yeah. If you want them to locate you quicker, you know, but no.
But really, now, size-wise, help me on this.
There's not a ton of difference. I mean, well, they all have to go through birth and grow. Yeah. I mean, grizzly bears overall, but, you know, black bears can come in a multitude of colors. Any color of hair you've ever seen that's natural.
Well, then why do they call them black bears?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's just a name that they got, but you can get them in browns, you can get them in blondes, you can get them in kind of a grayish blue. I mean, about any color that you've seen people's hair that it's a natural color, you know, not the purple or something like that, but you can see a black bear in that color. Grizzly bears range from silver tips to dark browns.
I've got a lot of comments here.
I know you do, and so that's why I'm just not even going to let you get a word in edgewise. I'm just going to keep going until you forget.
You are on a roll.
And so, but you know, the dish face, the hump on their back. There's a
dished
face
on a grizzly.
Yes.
Really?
And a black bear's got more of a straight line face. But there's two or three.
I hope I never get that close to have to see whether there's a dish in the face or if it's a straight line.
That's why you look through them with your scope.
Of course, a guy on crutches is the kind of guy you want to take hunting with you, so I'm an easy target and you can run away.
Usually what I try to do with guys like you is I just, you know, pour a little bacon grease on your boots.
Thank you.
So they can track easier.
Here, have a crutch. Start on that.
No. So, but bear season's going right now. We've had a lot of bears harvested across the region. We've had some really nice bears come in. Kind of may shock you, but that country just north of Mountain Home, Bliss Hill City, those low rolling sagebrush-looking hills.
That's bear country?
Some of the biggest bears in the state of Idaho have been harvested out of there.
You're kidding me.
No, and so...
Did they get affected by the burn that went through there?
Not too much, because they're up in a little higher vegetation they have. There's some pines up in there, but they've been doing really well over in there. So
what is a good-sized black bear? What does it weigh?
An average black bear, an average black bear in Idaho is going to be 5 to 6 foot, between 150. You know, we see them 100 to up to 300.
And grizzlies, don't they get a lot bigger?
You know, lower 48 grizzlies are eating the same basic thing. Yeah, they'll get up to 300 to maybe 4 on the outside.
And they can really run.
Yep, but so can black bears. I mean, they're both in that 30-mile-an-hour range. Grizzlies are typically a little thicker and heavier.
I registered 2.7 miles per hour.
And so, yeah, I think they'd catch you. But, you know, so we'd like just people to go on, just want people to be aware of that. You just go through and you take the test, and it just kind of gives you some ideas to think about when you're out hunting black bears in grizzly bear areas.
Okay, I've got to pay some bills here real quick. We have this good word for Congressman Mike Simpson. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Brian Smith collected millions from Idaho's vulnerable, veterans, and the disabled. But where else does Smith get money?
We literally put all those checks in an envelope and send them to Brian, and so he gets a big envelope with a lot of money in it, which is probably a good day for him.
So Smith is beholden to a Washington special interest group that's against the Farm Bill. The same Washington special interest group that would kill jobs at Idaho National Laboratory and cut funding for firefighters who we entrust to protect our land, our property, and our lives. It's no surprise that Brian Smith puts Washington special interest groups ahead of Idaho, because Brian Smith is out for himself, not you.
I'm Mike Simpson, and I approve this message paid for by Simpson for Congress.
Thank you very much. And right now it's time for an update on the weather, brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road in Jerome. Oh, my goodness, they've been over on the north side serving Jerome and all of southern Idaho for over 20 years. Absolutely quality products at reasonable rates. In addition to their expert meat cutting, they also have a smokehouse. Oh, it's delicious. Selling taste one bite at a time. Scarro's Meats. Here's Michael with the weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. For the next at least 48 hours. Maybe kicking another day. You're going to see some nice weather. Sunny today, high 77, 84 for the high tomorrow. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Scarro's Meats, selling taste one bite at a time. Lovely, lovely lady Maxine Bell, representative from District 25A, and wants you to remember that the primary election is on May 20th, and District 25 Representative Maxine Bell urges you to go vote. Our nation, and especially Idaho, needs people to exercise their voting privileges and be a voice. Vote May 20th and be a responsible, patriotic American. Paid for by District 25 Representative Maxine Bell, a proven leader for the Gem State. You know, in all seriousness, there's a lot of us, and myself included, I have never taken a hunter safety course. You know, I'm an old fogey, and I've had my license since off and on when I was 16 back in Wisconsin. And hunter education is really, really important. I don't care what age you are, you're going to learn something, aren't you?
You are. And, you know, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, because one thing is Clayton Nilsson, he's our hunter ed coordinator for the Magic Valley. I'm just going to tell folks out there that know him, he's actually retiring. And so we're going to really miss, he's going to retire at the end of this month. So if you know him, give him a holler and tell him thanks for all the great work he's done, because we average about 50 classes. 50 to 60 classes a year in the Magic Valley, really? With an average of about 25 kids per class. So it's just a little under 2,000 kids. By the time we had filled days and stuff like for the online classes, we hit about 2,000 people in the Magic Valley go through the Hunter Ed program. So he stays fairly busy. But
what's the number one thing that people don't know about hunting? Well, with safety and everything.
You know, boy, that's a good question, Zeb.
I mean, is there some area that everybody thinks they know, but they're wrong on a lot of the time?
You know, I don't know. I guess the thing that we try to stress the most in the class is just hunter ethics. Yeah. You know, we talk about it all the time on the show, but that's the single biggest thing we try to stress is muzzle control, because a bullet can't, I mean, you know, a lot of people, well, probably the most misunderstood part is the safety of a gun.
Absolutely.
If the gun's unsafe, it's safe. No, it's not. It's a mechanical device that can sometimes fail. So we try to really instill in the kids to make sure they maintain muzzle control. If the barrel's never pointed at something you don't want shot, that thing's never going to get shot. And so you just have to maintain muzzle control. But the big thing we always push is just, you know, sportsman's ethics and being ethical with wildlife. When you kill an animal, make sure it's a clean shot, you get a clean kill, and when you're on private property, you have permission. You leave it better than you found it, and when you're on the forest and state lands, you do the same thing. You leave no trace. I heard you talking about that in your earlier show today. But we've got more and more people in the state of Idaho. We're at 1.7 million, something like that, 1.65. We got a ton, and I know people from out of state that's not very many. That's a ton of people to me.
It's a lot of people, but I'll go back to what I said earlier when I used to have my outfitting business. We had take only pictures, leave only footprints was part of our slogan, and it amazed me the amount of people that would come up, and whether it was going on a trail ride or whether we were going in fishing or whatever the case might be. Some of these people that live in towns, I don't know if it's a lack of respect, if it's a lack of knowledge, if it's a lack of caring in general, but we literally had to follow up from behind 2 or 3 people to pick up when they just didn't think and were careless, candy wrappers, pop cans, that type of thing. I don't know why they think that Idaho Outdoors is an open garbage can. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, it drives me nuts too. And so, but those are the things that we really press in the class, plus the rules and regs, just to make sure that people understand the rules and regulations. But the reason I'm saying that is we had a first time this last weekend. We had on Mother's Day weekend, we had over 60 kids go through the Hunter Edge program in a 2-day period. I think it's a new format that we're going to try to start implementing more. We had a bunch of people on a waiting list trying to get into this class, so they fill up really fast, but we put all these other classes, and typically these other classes take 5 to 6 days, and this one was just done in 2 days over 8 hours a day.
What about adults? There was a gentleman that called after you were on the air, not last month, because you were on here with Mr. Fish, Doug McGargle, but the month before, and they were asking, do you ever arrange hunter safety courses primarily for adults that a little bit shy about going to the class, don't want to admit that they really don't know everything about hunter safety? Have you ever tried to organize one of those?
We're starting to right now. It's not necessarily a Hunter Ed class. I'm actually offering a continuing education class on the basics of hunting. Yeah. And at the end of this class, they're going to be able to get their hunting license, and they'll have their hunter education card, and we're going to go through all the basics. There's a ton of people out there, Zeb, that missed that. Even growing up in Idaho.
Absolutely.
They've never been hunting, and they would like to participate.
Or Wisconsin or Minnesota or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was another gentleman that was in the same conversation that said, well, I'll tell you one thing I'm not embarrassed to say. I've never field dressed anything out in the country, a deer or anything. I don't know how to do it. Why don't they teach something like that? That's another good course.
And that's what's going to be involved in this course.
Really?
Yeah. Our overall goal is to be able to go in, teach people the basics of hunting and hunting, go through the field dressing process, go through the butchering process, go through the cooking process.
See, there you go.
And because there's a lot of people, that have never, some of us just grew up with a knife in our hands doing that type of stuff, and other people just never had that opportunity.
And they should not be embarrassed in saying they don't know.
No, because everybody had to learn somewhere.
Absolutely.
And so, but we also, if you're in that boat and you don't have time for the class, we do have videos that we do rent out, or not rent, but loan out to people on field dressing.
Oh.
So that you can learn how to process game meat. And so you can call over there and we can get those lined up for you.
See, that was an interesting little segment.
You see, you came up with a good question every once in a while.
There you go. Thank you. Hey, don't forget, Eric Snar, Sheriff of Minidoka County, wants your vote on May 20th. Leadership that listens. He pledges to the citizens of Minidoka County to make the county and communities of Minidoka County a safe place to live, work, and raise your families. 18 years in law enforcement, proven leadership, and dedicated to the people. Eric Snar, Sheriff of Minidoka County, wants your vote on May 20th, paid for by Jason Gibbons, Treasurer. Also, real fast, I want to remind everybody about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with the best of tires, absolutely all the tires you need for your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever. Free lifetime tire and mileage care. They are the best. Easy credit plans. 4 different plans are available. Stop in and talk to them today and check out the brake service, the front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, everything at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're done.
I know.
Wow.
Get out and go fishing.
I'd like to, but McGargle never calls and asks me.
You'll just have to probably go by yourself, because I don't know that Doug goes out very much.
Deanna and I have been packed and ready to go for like 7 years. He said he was going to take us fishing. I mean, we're not rushing him, are we?
No. Well, he works on his own time frame.
I could see that.
But
he does a lot of things on his own time frame.
But I was just going to tell you, things right now are booming for fishing.
Really?
Well, you have the spawn on right now for bass. Bluegill is going to start kicking up. Crappie with the warming of the water.
Are they
I'm excited.
Native fish to Idaho quickly?
Crappie, no.
And bluegill?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
But, trout and stuff like that. But we're actually headed over to go watch baseball, and we're headed catfishing.
Okay. Hey, quick call. 30 seconds, no more. I got to cut you off. Go ahead real fast, caller.
Real quick, I just have a question on the extra hunts or the super hunts. Maybe I'm not reading that right, but it said you could put in a bunch of times for this amount of money, and you could draw on that, but it said any open hunt in Idaho. Any open hunt, I could just buy a tag and go. So can you explain that?
All right, real quick. I've only got 10 seconds, Kelton, real
this
fast.
This is going to be really quick. If you draw a super tag, that means any hunt in Idaho. All the controlled hunts, I can hunt 54. I can go hunt 55 velvet. I can hunt 54 late. I can run up and I can hunt, 44. I can hunt any unit with that tag, with that license, and so it's just good for anywhere. It's a governor's tag.
Got to run. Kelton Hatch, Idaho Fishing Games, Bells up at the ranch. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06. The way things were, the way things ought to be. Bye!